really, it's funny that the thing that I've been like, quote unquote, like I was like opposed to the most people on, and I was still wrong, but I feel like I was like minorly vindicated with like the Thunder thing, like very minorly. Like J-Dub was turbo ass for like 5 games out of that series. I mean, he did show up in Game 7, credit to him, but
yeah, we have to give him his flowers.
I
posted about giving J-Dub his flowers on Twitter the other day, and people were having the reaction as if you were everyone else, not knowing that it was a bit.
Yeah.
Not knowing that is an ongoing bit that we have on the podcast. And they were not happy with me. They were like, can we not overreact to every single game in positive or negative fashion?
Well, and you've got to, do you get the thing I love about whenever like you have a post that goes like, not even viral, but just like kind of gets a little traction is
breaks containment, as you've said before.
Yeah. It breaks containment. You have people arguing for like fucking months at a time.
Always.
In the replies with you tagged. And that only happens like in sports tweets. Because I've had both types of tweets happen, like sports tweets going like not even like viral or breaking containment's like way worse.
Wasn't there a popular tweet that was like just something about sports? Like, I don't know, like Aaron Judge didn't deserve to win MVP or whatever. And then it's like replies. Anyway, this is why the atom bomb was using the atom bomb on Japan was justified.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how does it become this in the replies? How did we get here?
Yeah, I love when they go off the rails like that. Yeah, I mean, like, look, we didn't talk about it Thursday, really. Saturday. Boy, I'm in hell right now. But I mean, full credit. Honestly, like, I'm gonna start here. Full credit to the Knicks, who genuinely played a really good series. I think even independent of Jason Tatum tearing his Achilles. I mean, they were up 10 at that point. I do think, game 1 was a little bit of like Mickey Mouse luck. I thought that they outplayed the Celtics every other game that they won that series and really stepped up and like, owned. I was turbo owned by the Knicks. Obviously, well documented. I have the tweets that I'm leaving up because the game is the game, and you gotta play by the rules. Even when the game turns on you.
I will hand it to the Knicks, who are, by the way, if you look at my preseason conference finals picks, the only ones that I have left are the Knicks and the Thunder.
Really,
and I gave up on the Knicks because I was like, this team's just not good. Like I was just like. They were not beating the allegations until they somehow turned it around. I will hand it to them. I will not hand it to the fans for doing what they did to Brian Windhorst.
Yeah, that was terrible. They have no idea about they're dead now.
An unforgivable act. That is just a sin on levels that we have never seen before. You need to respect Windy. This close to slop season, you come to me just before the start of slop season. You disrespect me.
You disrespect Manhattan. Brian Windhorst. You throw things at Brian Windhorst. That is just like
the slop father himself.
Honestly, that's like attacking the Rizzler. Like just like a beautiful. Honestly, the Windhorst and the Rizzler kind of look similar. He looks like a grown-up Rizzler. Like you can't do that. They're just icons of like pure joy, pure, thing. Yeah. I mean, I do think Knicks fans have done like overall like a pretty bad job. But like, when your team overperform, I don't know, you kind of get carte blanche.
I would be going nuts.
Right now, I was going to say, I'm not going to hand ring over that.
If this happened, because if it happened during a season when I thought the Sixers were like legit, I probably wouldn't act like this, but if I thought my team was losers the whole season, this would be like if the 1920 Sixers, I'm sorry, the really more the 2018, 2019 Sixers won the title, or got far in the playoffs because the vibes were bad that season. They had a ton of talent, but it didn't really add up. And I probably would have been a little bit unhinged too, but just respect Windy. That's all I ask.
Yeah, respect.
I respect you. You show respect for your elders, those who came before you. The trailblazers in our fields, one of the most iconic people that I can think of in sports media. And just I'm saying this knowing very little about his personal life and political opinions. Keep that in mind. a neutral good person in my mind for now, at least on May 20th, 2025. Please don't cut that out of context if there's something that comes to the surface in the future.
Do that with like everyone these days.
Yeah,
God damn. I gotta have the disclosure. Yeah. They attacked. They viciously attacked that Halliburton. I mean,
here's this clip from June 2012 of Trill saying Kanye could never do anything wrong.
Yeah,
he's a perfect angel, and he should be respected as such.
I do have to say, like, I do think, like, we talked about it last episode. When your team overperforms and you're like not expecting, that is why we root about sports. Like that is the purest. I'm still chasing the high of the hospital Celtics. Like that was, I think that's going to be my favorite postseason ever. Like just because like you don't expect anything and you go in and you just keep winning. There's really nothing like it. So I'm not going to get too down on Knicks fans. And they've had a rough go. Like not as rough as they imply. Like most big market fans, like you and me, we all like to pretend that we have bad things. I mean, obviously I have it the easiest of anyone, but like, no, but they're not the Kings. They're not the Hornets. They're not,
but Chiodo has put it perfectly to me where when the Eagles are succeeding, we don't really know how to act.
Yeah.
We're not good at that. We're like where the Sixers were this year. That's kind of our sweet spot where it's like no expectations, kind of injury riddled, obviously rooting for the tank. And next year will be for you, for the Celtics. Next year will be, this is literally for a reset cap year where you might have multiple of your best players off the team or not playing at all. Like you just basically get to root for like Peyton Pritchard, Nemus Keita, whoever you say his name.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a fun time next season.
Spot minutes for Xavier Tillman.
I was gonna say
signing on a veteran's minimum.
The Jordan Walsh propaganda on this podcast next year is gonna be disgusting. I didn't even think of that.
I can tell you right now. No, it won't.
You're out.
I'm pretty out on Jordan.
Wow,
Walsh is an NBA player. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, I mean, I've never been a Jordan Walsh guy, but
like I've seen enough. Maybe I'm wrong eventually. No,
he just needs to cook. Apparently, next year is his opportunity.
I know what's gonna happen because I was like, when I silver lininged it after the Tatum injury, I was like, this really sucks that I'm not gonna be able to watch competitive basketball for 17 months, but what I can do is I can at least get Kristaps Porzingis off my team and like maybe start turning the page on Drew Holiday. And what's actually going to happen is we're going to trade Derrick White for
not be able to get off either of those contracts.
You're going to trade Derrick White for like 2 first round picks, like maybe like a fake first and like a normal first. I'm seeing everyone say, "Oh, we're going to get like 3 first round picks for Derrick White." No, we're not.
For Derrick White?
Not. Yeah, that's not happening. Shut up. Like,
first round picks, quote unquote, might mean not like it might be the press release first round pick.
Yeah,
I think you could get a lot for Derrick White, though. I don't disagree with that. I think the teams would overpay for him.
I don't think anybody's.
I think he's on a good contract. I think most teams that already have their stars in place, like Houston and Orlando and OKC and those kind of teams, should be all over trying to trade for Derrick White.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, I think that he would have a really big market.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, but my thing is like, so Braun Goat in the comments is saying, the Warriors are looking into White. Awesome. Like, what is that even?
They don't have anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
was gonna say, like,
after the draft, they can trade 2 future firsts, which by the way, I would be all over trying to get 2 future Warriors firsts. I've been on that hype train of, you want to give me your future picks? That's why I was like, the Jazz should absolutely trade them Lauri market in last offseason.
My issue with that is like, it's the problem with trying to thread that needle. Because I agree with that if I'm doing a full rebuild, but Jason Tatum's going to be back in here. I'm seeing a lot of hand wringing about this, and I guess you can never take anything at face value. I'm pretty sure Jason Tatum's going to be fine. Maybe I have egg in my face in like a year. He looks terrible, but it just doesn't seem like a lot of his strengths are from skill and, just being big and like rebounding and like being a smart player. And a lot of this, I really don't think like athleticism is going to sap him that much, from the Achilles. Maybe I'm coping, but I really don't think I am. Like, so you're going to have to be good again, like in the next year. And so like, what if you get those future Warriors first, the Warriors with a full season of Jimmy win like 55 games. And then next year in the offseason, you're trying to unload these Warriors picks where it looks like they're still good.
Yeah, I mean, like you'd have to find a team that bets against them, but last time you guys got a Warriors pick, you literally got Drew Holiday and won the championship.
I mean,
in the Marcus Smart trade from 2 years ago, that was already a set in stone pick. People knew where the pick was going to be, if I remember. Oh, no, that was a year before. There was the 14th pick in the following draft, and then Portland traded it to Washington. Yeah. But either way, I think that you're betting on against the Warriors in the future is my point, not next season.
I'm just saying, like, no matter what, no matter how we look at it logically, and we all know, those picks are going to be good. The Celtics are going to be in a position where they have to trade them the next year on Jason Tatum's window. Because if you're not, why are you know what I'm saying? You have to spend them immediately. And if the Warriors happen to have a good season, that is going to depress their value. Like, I don't
think that matters. I think that if they have a good season, everyone goes, Jimmy's 37, Steph's 37. I think that everyone goes, this is the last flash in the pan for them.
We do this with teams all the time, though, where it's like, wow, like we convince ourselves, like, when the stars are old, but like the younger role players like look good. Like if they do that, people are be like, I don't know, Brandon Podziemski is like really something. Like,
I don't
post
so.
I'm telling you, like, this happens.
I think they're also uniquely old. They're like the KG Pierce Celtics at this point, because all of their best players are super old. It's not even like the Suns where like they still have Devin Booker. Like it is a unique situation where other than even the Bucks have Giannis who's 30. Like I can't remember a team who's been quite as old as the Warriors. Their third best player, even if you get past Steph and Jimmy, is Draymond, and he's 35.
Yeah,
like it's just a super old team. I mean, if they're good until they're 40, then you throw your hands up and you go, "Well, we fucked up." But I would just bet against that team in the future. Is my point on this.
I'm with it. I'm even like less caught up on like the Warriors specifically. More I'm making a case about like where the Celtics are. Mm-hmm. And the danger with like having to trade picks where you can't wait. You're not going to have the opportunity to wait for when those draft picks have like good value. You are stuck trading them again, unless the plan is to waste Jason Tatum's prime, which I don't think it is. I think if they trade Derrick White or any of these guys for picks, the plan is going to be to flip those picks for guys who are good again, like pretty quick.
And
like
also,
the next offseason.
If this is why I thought a team like the Jazz a year ago were in the perfect spot to be like, here's Lauri Markkanen, give us your next 4 first you can trade or whatever, and we'll bet against you years out because right now we have nothing going for us, and Lauri's on this scam contract before he has to get a max, and now we're here a year later, and Lauri Markkanen's being brought up again in trade rumors, this time from Jonathan Givony and Jeremy Woo of ESPN, who reported that the Sixers are exploring potential trades with the 3rd pick in Paul George's contract for one of Lauri Markkanen or Kevin Durant. Now, to be clear, Kyle Neubeck and Adam Aronson both immediately shot this down. They said this isn't realistic. They want to add a core piece, a young core piece. We're still a month out from the draft. Everyone's going to be saying this kind of stuff until we get closer. I personally don't see a point in doing that kind of trade. The only way that I think that you do that style of trade where it's Paul George in the 3rd pick for Kevin Durant or Lauri Markkanen, one of those two, is if Daryl Morey's like, I'm getting fired if we don't make a top 6 seed next year. And the East is horrible. And we say, okay, at least Lauri Markkanen might be more available. At least Kevin Durant's better than Paul George. At least we can turn this into a minor. We can get off the Paul George contract early in Kevin Durant's case if you get him. And Lauri Markkanen makes a little bit less money than Paul George on the whole over the next few years. His deal is also a year longer than Paul George's, Lauri Markkanen's. And I think that is low-key one of the worst contracts in the NBA, and no one talks about it because the Jazz are irrelevant. They just tanked. And now there's no point in discussing Lauri Markkanen's it's not like Michael Porter Jr., where you're watching the playoffs and you're going, oh man, that contract is really holding them back from Lauri Markkanen holds the Jazz back from nothing. But if another team were to trade for him and he was more in the spotlight, he's never played in the playoffs before in his entire career. The oldest player in the NBA to not play a playoff game, Lauri Markkanen. I think that he would get a lot more heat and pressure. Now, is he better than Paul George right now? Probably. Yeah. I mean, I know he just had a weird year. He also was injured this past year, but he's probably a better player moving forward than Paul George. He's got 1 year more on the contract. And I view this third pick situation, if you're the Sixers, as an opportunity to get a little bit of best of both worlds. I think that you've tried time and time again with the old guys. You tried with James Harden. You tried with Paul George. You've tried with Al Horford. For whatever reason, there's a number of them for why these things didn't work. That strategy doesn't work for the Sixers. The free agency and trade stuff has been kind of a disaster for them outside of like very small moves. And the only way seemingly that they've ever been able to build and acquire talent is through the draft. So I think you look at this third pick opportunity and you cannot go, oh yeah, we're good. Let's try to win next year, even though our best player might not be fully available. Draft the guy you think is the best player at 3. Take the swing on whoever it is, whether it's VJ Edgecombe or Ace Bailey or Trey Johnson or whoever, and live with the consequences. Because I still think the best way to preserve your job if you're Daryl Morey, unless he literally has a mandate from ownership that we need to be a top 6 seed next year, I still think the best way to save your job if you're Daryl Morey going into next season is if you hit this pick and it's obvious from summer league, preseason, regular season, hey, and now we have a young core that I've built by myself, basically. Yeah. And even if Joel Embiid doesn't play, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as much. Like if he's not Joel Embiid, it's not quite as. Whereas if you trade for Kevin Durant, and yeah, you might have some temporary success, but how much longer is Kevin Durant playing in the NBA at a high level? If you trade for Lauri Markkanen, okay, like I don't see a way in which that makes that gives you better job security than nailing the third pick in the draft and potentially having a young core moving forward that could open up a different window for you a few years when maybe you get off the Joel Embiid and Paul George contracts.
I do think like there is something to be said for like the fact that like there's like what, a 50% chance that number 3 pick is ever as good as Lauri Markkanen.
Sure.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I do think that like there is a little bit of, I mean, the way you save your job is by selling hope. You do that, the hinky thing. Yeah. You know, so like you do, like it might not necessarily be like the bet. I think if you were to trade for Lauri Markkanen, I think that's a more earnest attempt to be good than just getting the number 3 pick, because you're not going to know for 3 years if that worked or not. Like
that's true. But also if you're going to ownership and you're saying, hey, by the way, remember when I punted in a whole season and I said, I have this genius plan. Yeah. That plan fucking sucked. And I was wrong. And we have to get a longer contract than Paul George when Lauri Markkanen makes $46 million next year, $46 million the following year, $49 million, and then $53 million. Will you sign up for that? Does that sound good to you? Yeah. Like that's the other angle of this is like, okay, let's say they take Ace Bailey at 3 and Ace Bailey is not good. Let's just,
sure.
Whatever happens there. All right. Ownership. You might lose your job anyway, like, and yes, Lowry's more of the bird in the hand, but also ownership could look at it as like, at least we're saving money. At least we're not like,
that's probably relevant given that Harris and buying the Commanders and all that other shit. So,
and they've been a historically cheap team, and we get out of the Paul George contract a year earlier than we would get out of the Lauri Markkanen contract. And by the way, I can share this now that I know that we're removed from the cap space plan and all that shit. I was told a year ago, and I've never said this on the podcast before, I was told a year ago that the Sixers had a deal in place for Lauri Markkanen, and they had everything lined up, and they literally were going to trade the pick that became Jared McCain and basically do some cap maneuvering to trade for him. But that was when he made $16-17 million. And they were going to try to do Paul George and Lauri Markkanen, and that was going to be their sweep for the summer last year. So I know that they have interest in Lauri Markkanen, but I think that they did that under the assumption that they would trade for Lauri. They would have this like cheap year or two with him. And then, because keep in mind, the Jazz literally took all the money that they could give Lauri and gave it to him a year early, which is unheard of. It's literally the only other players I can think of in the NBA where that's ever happened is Sabonis with the Kings and Miles Turner with the Pacers a few years ago. It's a very rare thing where you use your cap space to give it to a player who's already on your team as like a reward almost. It happens in the NFL sometimes, but it rarely ever happens in the NBA. And the Sixers would have gotten Lauri Markkanen for 2 cheap years on his contract. And then they would have been able to essentially give him an extension off of that. And they would have been able to come to a decision when that was, more when that was clear, when that what that could have looked like. Yeah. So I think that I think they definitely have had interest in Lauri Markkanen. We know they've had interest in Kevin Durant in the past when he was traded from the Nets, but the Nets were not engaging with the Sixers. The Harden thing that just happened, that was never going to happen. If Daryl is, if we get more rumors about this in the next coming weeks, Daryl is like, I might be fired by December. if we start to hear more buzz on this. Now, the other side of this is that these two players are not the player we think is about to become available, which is Giannis. And I don't think they're going to go after Giannis just because I don't see a point if Joel is whatever, like his status is up in the air. And Joel's thing is like the team might have an idea of what Joel might look like, but the team also thought Joel was going to be fine a year ago. They don't know until they see it with this injury. This is not an injury that you can just say, oh, he's going to be fine. We know it literally, you have to see it with your eyes. You have to see how he responds to resting and playing basketball again. And there's no guarantees that he ever gets back to that level of player he is. There's no guarantees he ever can play 60 games a year until you actually see it with your eyes. So the Giannis conversation is something that Spike Eskin brought up on the radio yesterday. And he said he thinks if Giannis asks out, then that's where the Sixers will throw their name in and be like, the third pick's on the table. Whatever we need to get the deal done is on the table. That was an interesting thing to me, where I actually don't understand why you would do that at all until you know that Joel is fine, assuming the Bucks would not take Joel Embiid's contract. And assuming that it would be like Paul George, Jared McCain, the third pick and other picks for Giannis or Maxey or whoever, whatever it takes to make it work as Giannis. If they're going after Giannis, they probably have to put a ton on the fucking table. But that's a different conversation to me. That's like Giannis is Giannis, and these guys are like 37, 38-year-old KD. Yeah. And Lauri Markkanen, who is the 40th best player in the NBA, that is on a max contract. like as good as Lauri is, like we just went through this with Tobias Harris. We're currently going through it with Paul George. You can't really survive those kind of deals when you're trying to win games at higher levels. And Giannis is a completely different story, where he's one of the greatest players of all time, still technically in his prime.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that for the Lauri thing, it's about like, how cooked do you consider Paul George to be? And just where, can Paul George play small forward? Like, is he stuck at shooting guard? Because you clearly have like, I don't know. It seems like McCain. I know McCain, it wasn't that many games, but he showed me enough to think that I would probably want to at least try starting him and Maxey together and kind of just see what that looks like.
They said that they're bringing him off the bench next year, McCain. He's going to be the sixth man. I think he'll play starters minutes. I think he'll be in that role where it's like a little
closing
bit
the game, maybe.
Yeah, like it's like a Peyton Pritchard situation with the Celtics, where like there are certain nights where he's going to get 35 minutes a game. There are certain nights where he's going to get maybe Malik Beasley's a better counter example here, or Norm Powell when he was a sixth man, where it's like he isn't starting because they want to try to split up Maxey and McCain as much as possible, so one of them is always on the court. And then Grimes is the third guard. And then, by the way, another element of this conversation is if they draft VJ Edgecombe or Trey Johnson with this pick, or Con Knipple, one of those guys. Once again, I don't know if they do that just because you can't have 4 of your best players be guards. But if they do that, then I think that splitting up these guys gets even more complicated, and getting them all the minutes gets even more complicated. But if it's VJ, the idea is we want to have we don't want to have Maxey and McCain play together too much because they're too redundant, and we think that defensively they're just not going to be able to survive. Whereas if one of VJ or one of Grimes out there, they can handle those assignments. We can save them. We can save Maxey or McCain for offense, and we can try to split them up as much as possible. So I do wonder if that's the case going into next year. Someone asked in the comments here, is 3 for Tari and 10 enough? That was in a case to help the Rockets get Giannis. So, like, if the Rockets want to trade for Giannis, by the way, I don't know, did you see the report about Horst, what he said?
No.
What they theorize that. So all of the reports right now are kind of like the Bucks are preparing for Giannis to ask out, but they don't think that they don't have any, like, everything we've heard is that he's probably not going to ask out. So that maybe that's wrong, and maybe they sit down and they meet and they say it just makes more sense for both sides. Maybe they sit down and they meet and they convince Giannis to stay. I don't know. But right now, it says someone from the Ringer reported and said Bucks GM John Horst is going to go for blood and prefers to gut whatever team he trades Giannis to if he requests a trade, and he doesn't care where Giannis wants to go, basically. So, like, Horst is not going to be like buddy with Giannis if he ends up asking. Like, he's going to trade him where he can get the best deal, which is obviously what you're going to say before you do the trade. You're not going to be like, oh yeah, no, we'll happily do whatever Giannis wants to do. Like, no, you have to approach it that way, and you have to scour the whole league, if anything, just to get leverage on the team that you eventually trade Giannis to.
I mean, isn't he just saying that, like, about, like, the Knicks? Because we all know it's probably going to be the Rockets or the Thunder. Like, it's not, like, he might also just be saying that because there's, like, also, like, reporting about, like, could the Lakers or the Warriors or the Knicks get into this? And it's like, no. Like, I think that's what, because, like, hypothetically, those are places Giannis might want to play, but, like, obviously that's, like, beyond, even if you, like, want to try to work with Giannis, that's beyond the pale to ask him to, like, take that kind of a discount when, like, there's real assets with, like, Houston and the Thunder, like, available. I think that's more just what he's saying. I don't think he's gonna, like, send Giannis to, like, fucking the Kings or something like that. Like, I think it's more just about, like, hey, cool it with saying we're gonna send him to the Knicks.
Exactly. Cool it to say we're gonna send him to, like, or the Nets, where it's like, that might help us a little bit financially, but we need to get players back. Like, we can't just get nothing back for Giannis and be fine with it. And going back to this original question here, I mean, I don't know about you, but I approach this draft, and if I'm the Bucks, I don't really see. All right, so let me put it like this: who's available at 10 and who's available at 3? It's not like a normal draft where I think the gap is, like, pretty massive. I think who you could get at 10 and who you could get at 3 is a similar level of prospect. If you could get Ace at 3, but then you could draft, like, Trey Johnson or Con Knipple at 10, that's, like, the league might view it differently, but unless the Bucks are super high on that guy, then I don't see a world where they're like, oh yeah, you could have Tari Eason because we don't want to pay him or whatever.
The Sixers are keeping this pick, and you want to know why I know the Sixers are keeping this pick?
Because I don't want them to keep the pick. I want to trade down.
Well, because I know that because I was this is the 2016 draft again. It's Ben Simmons and Brandon Ingram, and then what are you doing at 3?
Mystery box.
And the Celtics were at 3 in that draft, and we were, like, a pretty good team that was like trying to, like, get better. And there was a lot of rumors about us using that 3rd pick to trade for Jimmy Butler, or drafting a guy like Chris Dunn,
Paul
who
George,
come and help trade for Paul George.
Yep.
Like, which is, and there's a lot of parallels between that and, like, obviously, like, the Sixers are coming off of, like, actually bad season, but everyone there was, like, real injury stuff there. Like, you guys are trying to be competitive again.
Sure. And with this East, like, there'll be a play-in team at least next year.
Oh my God. It would be a massive failure if they were like in the play-in to me. Like I feel like they could have.
I can't say that just because
of
Embiid and Paul George's health, but I agree with the idea. I agree with the idea.
Everyone, I've got a lot of pushback. Everyone has been very vocal with me that my Wizards take last episode is the most insane thing I've ever said in my life. I'm not saying it's likely. I'm just saying I really don't think people understand how bad the fucking East is going to be next year.
It's going to be gross. Yeah,
like it's going to be really fucking bad. We are losing one great team, one pretty good team, and outside of the Magic, like the East was pretty healthy all year. Like
Magic and Sixers, and then the rest.
Well, yeah, the Sixers.
The teams who made the playoffs. Yes, the Magic were the most strucken with injury. Yeah, like the Pacers had great injury luck this year.
Yeah.
The Knicks, relative to how thin they were, I would say had pretty good injury luck. Other than Mitchell Robinson coming back late in the season, obviously. But
who did the Hawks lose besides Jalen Johnson? I mean, I know he's like a huge part of their team, but like,
yeah, no, and they also didn't make the playoffs, so. Yeah, I also just I don't think about the Hawks. I don't think they're relevant to the conversation we're having.
I'm just gonna say.
I mean, sure, maybe they can make a leap next year, but for this year, they didn't make the playoffs.
I was gonna say, like, if the Hawks are healthy next year, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't think that. I don't think the Hawks being healthy changes their fortunes as much as like the Magic being healthy changes their fortunes. Like, I think the Magic would have been in like a 4 seed this year. I think if Jalen Johnson had played, I don't know, maybe the Hawks get up to the 6 seed. Like, maybe they get out past the Pistons. I mean, but I don't really.
The Hawks made a salary move at the deadline. Like that was also after the Jalen Johnson injury, but like, what was their 4th best player rookie? Like, I don't know. But either way, the whole point on this is that the apparently the other piece of slop that we got, which is very funny because I don't know if this Bucks reporter, the older guy, Jerry, like I call him Jerry Woeful.
Yeah, Waffle.
I don't
Jerry Waffle.
Yeah, Jerry Waffle. He seems like a fake account. Like, you know those accounts that like there's like a Giants account called like Wes Lenderberg or something. I can't even remember his name. But he literally just like has like the fake suit and tie, very like Craigery Smith, Nihilist Buck style. Yeah. That's what that account reminds me of.
Yes.
It doesn't feel real, but it's actually a guy. He just gets everything wrong all the time. Like, it's every time someone sends me his report, I'm like, this guy has a lower hit rate than Sam Amico, not Sam Amick. Sam Amico equal Amico. This guy's hit rate is like so low.
Some of the most rancid slop we've ever seen.
It's
like,
so bad.
Like his slop, there's like smoke coming off of it that like is a skull and crossbones like wafting in the air when his slop comes off.
Yeah, we have 2 Bucks fans in the comments right now, Aaron and Ben, both saying that he has literally no sources and he is the Scoop B of Bucks reporters. Yeah, I'm not giving him any like credence here. Like, I don't think that he's a legit slop guy. But what he reported was that the Bucks are doing their due diligence in case Giannis asks out, and they're scouting the draft, which they should be. To be clear, should be. That's the thing. Is like even if he's wrong, which he probably is, they should be doing that with the chance that Giannis asks out.
That's your job. It's literally
exactly.
Your job.
Do your job.
Yeah.
Right. Like I mean, the Celtics just interviewed Trey Johnson at the Combine and Cooper Flagg. Like, regardless of whether those things are realistic, you should still do your homework and like, hey, if we have a trade that's out there and we can somehow move up and get Trey Johnson in the draft and we think he's great, then we should do it. Like so I think the Bucks should be doing that right now because the teams that we're thinking about, Houston, OKC, those teams have picks, 10, 15, that range. Start to get to know these prospects. There's always at least one guy who falls in the draft. Yep. Whether it's like, and I don't know about you, but I think the guy that is, and I think Mateo was the first one who brought this up to me because Mateo's been on the Wizards should draft Derek Queen thing for a little bit.
Yeah.
If they don't take him,
yeah,
could we be looking at like him going in like the teens?
I would love that for him because I think he needs something like that to succeed. Like, I think it would be really bad for him to get drafted really high.
Right now he's at 12 to the Bulls on Tankathon. But like, I kind of think that like, I could see the Bulls absolutely taking him. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And also Kasparis is also Jakob is already off the board by that point. So maybe that's their guy they really like. I don't know about you, but the guy that I've been like slowly talking myself into is basically the Shaden Sharp of this draft.
Trey?
Cedric Coward.
Oh, I haven't done tape on him yet. Like,
okay.
I have no idea. So
the reason I honestly would probably take him if I were the Blazers. I would take him at 11.
Okay.
Like, all right. So here's my thing with Cedric Coward. Oh, I called him the Shade. Funny enough, the Blazers already took Shaden Sharp.
It's spelled like Coward, right? Like,
like
Colin Cowherd. It's like
Coward. Like,
Coward. Yeah.
Shoot a three. Coward. Yes. Yeah. He does not shy away from shooting threes.
Okay, great.
So first off, here's the thing with KOC just interviewed him last week. I heard about him 2 to 3 weeks ago. From Chuck and Maxwell were both telling me about him. They were both like, this guy's been on our radar for 2 years. We watched him at Eastern Washington. He transferred to Washington State. This story's actually interesting. He was a D3 guy his freshman year.
Okay.
Transferred to Eastern Washington. Balled the fuck out at Eastern Washington for 2 years. The coach got hired by Washington State. He followed the coach to Washington State, and he played 6 games and he got hurt. Now, the good things about him are he's 6'6". He was at 190 in college, but he weighed at 212 at the combine, and he has a 7'2" wingspan. So he has basically identical measurements to both J-Dub and Kawhi. Which is obviously that we get one of these guys every year. You know, you get your Patrick Williamses, your whoever.
Being like Kawhi is again.
No one is ever Kawhi.
Thing. It's the Draymond thing where.
But having the measurements is a good.
It's a good
starting point.
Yes. Yeah.
Like you need if you have those as a wing. I'm intrigued at a minimum.
How are his hands? Does he have the?
I don't know what the hand size is. I didn't look into that. I mean, that was also, but the Patrick Williams thing was that he literally had identical like everything to Kawhi, but he just hates basketball.
Well, I was gonna say he probably they were like, wow, he isn't smiling or laughing at anything on the basketball court. This is just like Kawhi. He just fucking hated it. Like
he's not like a psycho worker who is just a silent assassin. He actually just was cursed to be born into Kawhi Leonard's dimensions.
Yeah,
exactly. His Mobamba disease. Why was I so tall? I wanted to be a painter.
God doing a really funny bit. Like, what if I just Skyrim ported over the Kawhi Leonard model and just dropped it back in with just 0 on the sliders and dog and
into this guy who has the same energy as Ben Stein.
Bueller, Williams.
But the Cedric Coward stuff's interesting to me. He's one of the more interesting guys on the radar in this. So first off, the last part of the story, he's supposed to transfer to Duke next year. Duke gave him a huge NIL bag. He got hurt. He only played 6 games with Washington State, and Duke saw him there, and they gave him a bag. But he was like, all right, I'll test out the combine. And now, because the wing class is so bad, because the thing about the wings in this class are that they're one of 3 things.
They're Ace Bailey.
Well, no, Ace aside. I'm not even counting Ace here.
Okay.
I'm saying beyond Ace.
Okay. Yeah, they're all old.
Guards. Most of them are guards. Trey Johnson's a wing scorer. He's a guard.
He's going to play the 2. He can't play the 3 in the NBA. He's got to play the 2.
He's got to put on 20 pounds of muscle to play the 3, I think. And there might be 3 guard lineups you could work with him and Khan, but he's a guard. They're both going to play the 2. And then the second thing is that there are a few guys like Colin Murray-Boyles. He's a big. He's not a wing. There are guys that are wing-ish, they have wing skills, or they might be wing-sized, but Colin Murray-Boyles is going to be purely a 4 in the NBA, maybe with some small ball 5 chance there.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is that they're all incredibly undersized.
Yeah.
Will Riley, some of the guy that everyone Bird in the second round from San Diego State, they're all incredibly thin. They're going to take a while to put on weight and work in the NBA. Cedric Coward's the only guy that has a wing build, has shot making ability, has defensive chops. So this is the other thing with him is that I know I have to take competition into account here. It was at Eastern Washington. Bro, he shot 70% from 2 on decent volume last year. Like and he shot a lot of threes and shot 40% from three. Good free throw shooter. The shot looks great. He has really long arms. The release is really high. And he's apparently, I haven't looked at the defense at all. And once again, I'm literally just going off of highlights, scouting reports on YouTube. There's no footage of this guy. Like, it's like impossible to find like games to watch him. So, but long story short on the Cedric Coward pitch here is that this is a weak wing class. He has the tools. He was incredibly hyper efficient and productive in college. And the thing, he keeps saying all the right things in interviews too, of course, where they asked him, they were like, what about like defense? And he was like, when I know whatever team I'm on, I'm usually not the best player. So I'm going to take pride in being a defensive guy. Like, I want to guard the other team's best player. He's saying all the agent, like, say this in the interview.
Yeah, right.
And I think that he is almost certainly not going back to Duke. I think he's going to end up being a lottery pick. He's basically the J-Dub of this class, where J-Dub was in like the 20s or 30s. Trey Murphy, not quite as much. Mateo said Trey Murphy, but Murphy even fell to like 18 or 19. Trey was still projected to go late first, early second. And also J-Dub destroyed the combine game, the scrimmage, which is why he rose a ton in the process. But like, I wanted the Sixers to get Jalen Williams at 23 in that draft, wherever we picked, and he ended up going 13. So I think that's the fate for Cedric Coward in this draft, is that he's going to be a riser. And I think someone like Queen could end up being a faller here. Like, I think that there's one or two guys that always rise, and one or two guys who always fall. Carter Bryant, another wing, will rise in this draft. Coward will rise in this draft. And I think Queen will probably be the one who falls.
Let's go. No, but I mean, that's the only one. I mean, honestly, everything you just laid out for Coward, because I had just heard about him, and I'm realizing now, like, I had only heard about him in like the last, like 2 weeks, when all of a sudden he was popping up, and I was like, why hasn't this guy been on my radar? And it's that reason, because he like wasn't supposed to come out.
Yeah.
But that everything you just said applies to like Carter Bryant, when I was like doing my Carter Bryant stuff, where I was like, there's no good wings. And this guy is like, I mean, he's probably not really like a wing. He's like more of like a forward, but like, he's got real size. He's 6'8", got the athleticism, like got all the other stuff.
Definitely say he's a wing. I would say, like, I mean, he probably projects to be more of a role player wing, but he's a wing. He's not like a shot creator wing.
Yeah. He's not like a shot creator, but I'm just saying, like, he's like a small foot, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if he necessarily has like the skill to play on the wing, where like his handle is kind of like the thing that's like, problematic for him. But I think he's like kind of like a 3, you know what I'm saying? He's a 5th starter, like is what he projects as, which a lot of people are like using that as like the knock against him. I think that's good. I think that's like everyone needs that fucking guy. Everyone trades for like 2 first-round picks at the deadline for that guy every fucking year. Like, how many times has Dorian Finney-Smith got traded for like first-round picks like every year?
Well, actually, never. But that's weird for some reason, because he was in the Kyrie trade.
Oh, because he was in the Kyrie trade. That's
and then they got seconds for him.
That's right.
He could have been traded.
Yeah, he should have been.
PJ Washington got traded for first. Like, the thing that, and I've talked about this, someone asked.
That's embarrassing. But I'm like, how many times has he got traded for first? Right? It was literally never.
But the rumors were always there, and they could have done it at some point, because he was just always someone that was desired. The skill set was desired. But this actually brings up a good point, which is that Trill, thoughts on Gavoni saying Ace had pretty bad interviews. I mean, I think it matters to teams that my thing is, it depends what the team thinks Ace is going to be. Because if they think Ace is Paul George, they won't give a shit. Because everything he's saying in interviews right now is like, I'm a star. I'm that guy, which he's been told since he was 12 years old. And he was a high recruit, made a ton of money in college, has always been a guy with the ball, balled out at public school and high school, crushed circuits. Of course he's going to feel this way as the level of prospect that he is. Teams that are drafting him thinking that he's going to be more what I think he's going to be are going to be like, we don't like that. Which is like, we want him to be Jaden McDaniels or Michael Porter Jr. or Mikal Bridges or whatever you think that ancillary wing piece is, play finisher, defensive guy. That's where the disconnect is going to be between him and teams. I do think it matters. I wouldn't be shocked if Ace falls to like 7. I think to me his ceiling is like 7 or 8. Like I think at a certain point a team's just going to be like, bro, he's a 6. 8 wing, like long arms,
and that's where I'm like pretty low on Ace.
Same
consensus, but I would probably take him at like 7 or 8. Like it's probably where he's going to end up on my board. Like somewhere in there, maybe 6.
Right, like, and once again, the draft is about acquiring players that you have a hard time acquiring. And if Ace hits, there's a guy you can't get, whether he's a star or a role player. The outcome that he's a bust is obviously a risk, but
I'm so mad at myself because this whole thing. I was like looking at all of Ace's stats. I was watching Ace. I'm like, God, this guy's like not good, and some moron is going to talk themselves into using a top 5 pick on him. Like I can't let that be. And then the second I get into the draft process and I'm watching it, I'm like, God, he's a really good athlete though, and like the blocking, like he could be a shot blocker. He could be a real shot blocker.
It's tantalizing. Also, in a weak wing class, that's the most important thing. And Mark Henry said, Mark Henry said that every class is a weak wing class, and I'm like, the last few have been relative to, like, I would say the last really good wing class we had was 2022, which was Paulo at the top, J-Dub drafted later, Benedict Mathurin, Keegan Murray, Tari Eason. The ones since have been like, you get a wing here, you get a wing there, but ultimately there's a reason why these guys take a long time to really bank and turn out to be good NBA players.
Couldn't this, what about this most recent draft with like Ricochet and Jalen Wells and
Holland,
and there's one more, isn't there one more like pretty good guy that we
well, the rookie teams just came out later today. How many wings made it on there?
Yeah, not very many.
It was mostly guards and bigs, right?
It was Jalen Wells, but I guess you could call Jalen Wells a guard. I think of Jalen Wells.
Ricochet and Wells were the two that made a rookie.
Justin Edwards.
Unironically, Justin Edwards being an undrafted guy is actually, and by the way, very different draft philosophy thing here, where it's undrafted versus you have the 3rd pick in the draft. But Ace is kind of similar to Justin Edwards. He just has a higher level of shot making and skill than Justin Edwards, but was a high recruit in high school and had a weird year in college. But obviously, Justin Edwards was in a legitimately good context and struggled. Ace was in a bad one and still had moments where you're like, holy shit. Like he had multiple over 35-point games. Now, part of that is that he just had the ball a ton, but another part of it is we haven't seen that since Trae Young as a freshman for a true freshman in college. So that these are things that if you buy the upside with Ace, you're not even caring about that stuff. But if you think his role is different than what he thinks, all of these things are going to matter to teams.
Yeah. I think, see, the thing about this class is there are like
Matas, that was it. That was the other one that was a good wing. Yep. Good. That's a pretty good wing class for a class we thought was weak.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, I feel like that class like had like really good bigs and wings. It was just the guards were kind of, like very, very, very like funny.
There was a lot of questions. Like Reed, it was the athleticism. Yeah. Rob, it was the general size. McCain is really the one guard that hit it big, it feels like. But also still small sample, still only 20 games. Didn't even, by the way, fucking woke bullshit. He didn't make the second that's rookie team,
I'm sorry, that's insane. Yeah. Like, because it's not, for people who don't know, that's not games played guarded the way the other ones are. Like,
no, because there are multiple guys on there that only played like 40 games.
McCain had to have like a higher VORP than like guys who made it. Like,
I mean, he played 30 minutes a game. It's not like he wasn't like, there were some guys that played, we played 40 games, but we only played 20 minutes in those games. So it wasn't even that big of a difference minutes wise, I would imagine.
Well, that's what I was going to say is like, the thing is, VORP's not a rate stat, right?
Yeah.
Like it compounds. Accumulative. And I still think McCain probably had a higher VORP playing 28 games, 30 games than a lot.
Yeah, I think it was 27. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think he probably ended up higher in most things just because he was so good for that 15-game stretch. He was the best rookie in the NBA. I thought he should have made second team. By the way, rookie teams are entirely based on how many minutes you play. Like, go back and look at the history of rookie teams. That's kind of the case. But I want to bring this up before I get to another point. You just brought up the 2016 class. What happened in the 2016 class? Because you guys took Jaylen Brown, who would be the Ace Bailey of this class, right? Where it's like the toolsy wing.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I struggle with is I think Jaylen is obviously Ace is bigger.
Yeah.
I think Jaylen was much more athletic than Ace.
Similarly, like shitty situations. Like
bad situation. I think if I remember correctly, Jaylen had the ball even more than Ace.
He did.
Which is he had like a once again the player that I had. Do you want to guess who the player I had to go back to? Because one of the red flags that everyone's been talking about throughout the whole process with Ace is the assist rate. Do you want to guess which player that hit it big? Not like Andrew Wiggins, like someone that hit it big in the NBA that I had to go back through the stats and find someone who had a below 10% assist rate that hit it big.
You told me this. It was Brandon Ingram, right?
No. Brandon Ingram had more than 10%. It was not much more than 10% though. It was like he like barely made the cutoff. Ace has like outlier low assist numbers, I would say.
Yeah.
I think Brandon Ingram had like slightly over 10%, and I think that even Cam Whitmore did.
Yeah, that was the other one you told me about was Cam Whitmore.
Yeah, like, I'm almost positive that you have to go all the way back to Kevin Durant to find someone. And that's funny because that's been the thing is that everyone keeps comparing him to Kevin Durant. Whereas I understand the Brandon Ingram one a little bit more, to be honest with you, because Brandon Ingram is a KD variant who improved his handle a ton, got a little bit stronger in the NBA, became a legit playmaker, which I never had anticipated for him when he was coming out of college. But I'm now looking at Brandon Ingram's because I was wondering how close he was to. Brandon Ingram had an 11% assist rate. Ace has like an 8% assist rate.
I will say also though, Brandon Ingram was like playing on a Duke team.
Yes, that's the difference.
I was gonna say I don't remember what that Duke team was, but I'm willing to bet that they had. Obviously, he played with Dylan Harper, but like we've been over this, everyone else on that team is accountants. So like,
Grayson Allen would have been on that Duke team if it's 2016.
Yeah.
You might have even was Tyus already in the NBA? Tyus was probably already in the NBA. Yeah. There had to be other pros on that team.
I was gonna say it's not like he had people to pass the ball to,
or at least good college players. They didn't even once again they spent all of their money on Harper and Ace, and Harper missed a stretch of games. So
I think Brandon Ingram is like probably the closest we're gonna get with a comp. Like I think to Ace. Like if you want to talk about like where he
mid-range lives in the mid-range, can't get to the basket all that much.
Yeah.
And if you could get the blend of Ingram, but contract year Brandon Ingram, where he shoots a bunch of threes and makes them. I don't know if you know this, but he's only had like a high 3-point rate 3 times in his career. And 2 of them were contract years.
That's super funny.
Which is amazing. An amazing grift from Brandon Ingram. But this is another feather in Cedric Coward's cap, by the way. 9/11, 2003 is his birthday.
2 years later.
Yep. This is how I tried to figure out. This is why I was trying to figure out who was conceived on 9/11. Chet was at the top. A lot of Thunder players.
Yeah.
Could be the power of being conceived around 9/11 if they win the title this year. I'm just saying.
Dayton Magic, the blood is on the hands.
They better hope they don't play the Knicks in the finals. I'm saying.
Rat mode.
Well, we know based on last year from my streams that if you bring that up during a Knicks game, it causes them to collapse.
Yep.
So, just last little draft thing here.
I have a little draft thing on.
All right, you give a draft thing because I've been going.
I just want to talk about. We talked about it. I don't think we've talked about this on the stream yet. I'm really Yaxel-pilled. I'm extremely Yaxel-pilled.
That's one of your guys.
I'm considering making him one of my guys.
I'm still molding my guys in this draft board.
Yeah.
We have to come up with our definitive guys. Like we always have our 4 or 5 guys that we pick.
Yeah.
And we Pods was 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not even ones we agree on, just your guys and my guys. Like,
okay. Because Pods was like, that was a joint effort. And I think that was one of our best.
Ron Holland was one of my guys last year.
Yep. that was a good call.
We always have our specific guys.
Edie was one of our
guys. Edie was a common guy that we had.
Yep. Yeah, Brandon podcast, Edie.
That is a good point. I don't want you to get your hopes up. He might go back to school. Coward is almost certainly staying in the draft. Yaxel might go back to Michigan.
Dog, he's like 24 right now.
No, he's 22. He's 22 going on 23.
I was gonna say,
he'd be 24 in the draft next year. Yeah. But they make so much money in college now, and like if he goes to a big program like Michigan, they could win the national title, and he could still be in the next draft, or he could get a huge bag and win like Player of the Year at Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. God, it just seems like ever since like Matt explained to me that like he's like a gamer and he had like the reason he was like bad at basketball was because he had a crippling like Call of Duty addiction, and that like he like now like likes basketball.
That's amazing.
That's like I like recovering gamer is such a good like.
We have generations of people who are sober from gaming already by the time they're 22 or 23.
What if the Blazers draft him to hope he rubs off on Ayton? Kind of give Ayton a sponsor. Yaxel goes over to his house and throws open the shades, knocks over all the Mountain Dew bottles.
Beef Stew's trying to get him to relapse during a game. He's just going up to him. He's just whispering in his ear.
UAV strike incoming. I don't know. I watch Yaxel play. I just don't know like how like it's hard for me to imagine him having like a better season than he had this year, and he's so old like that. I just can't imagine him. I think he would get drafted in the first round. He's the guy I want for the Celtics if he stays in the draft, because I think he's really helpful. He's got a ton of skill everywhere, like not like a turbo athlete, but there's like a little bit of athleticism there. I think he can play in a lot of like different ways, and he's just seems like an interesting bet with that like level of skill, solid athleticism, pretty decent size. Like he's old, he's probably not going to improve. Like you're not going to draft him.
Whenever they say that, I mean, you don't stop improving at 22. You're just closer to a finished product.
Is he 22? I remember looking at his age.
He might be 23 on draft night.
Startled. Yeah, being very startled by how old he was. Like,
well, that's also a knock on Coward, is that he's 22 already. But I don't care with wings is my thing. Yeah. I care more about that stuff where like with most wings suck from the time they're 19 to 22 anyway in the NBA. So what does that even matter to me? Like if they're good, then awesome. I have a playable wing from day one in the NBA that might even reach higher heights. J-Dub was 21 as a rookie. Mikal Bridges was 21 as a rookie. Like I actually don't. Even Jaylen Brown was 20 as a one and done. Like, yeah. I don't think that the age stuff matters as much with wings. Now, because the thing is, I talked about this the other day where someone said that I was wild I might have said this on the Patreon podcast where I said I think Kaman Malawash can be a fringe starter from day one in the NBA. And I'm like, someone said that's out of pocket. And I was like, if he isn't, he sucks. Like, because he has the easiest archetype to translate to the NBA from day one. Now, there's always going to be fouling issues. There's always going to be conditioning issues. That's every rookie big, though. There's very few in NBA history who don't have those problems. So, like, Jaren Jackson struggled with it for the first 4 years of his career. Fucking Karl-Anthony Towns still struggles with it. Like, there are guys, absolutely. We saw it with Klingon last year where the conditioning and the foul stuff was a problem. Edie had some foul trouble as well. But if you're Kaman Malawash and you're a plug, you have to be a plug. Like run and dunk bigs are the easiest thing to translate in the NBA. The hope with Malawash is that he can develop the other skills and he can shoot eventually. And then he becomes basically a completely different level of player than people thought.
He's like raw tools, you know, like he's just he's so long and so big and is used to playing with good players, like knows how to play with good players.
That's the thing is that everyone keeps saying that Khan had this amazing context at Duke. And I don't disagree. He obviously got to play with like seasoned college players. Mm-hmm. And then he also got to play with Cooper Flagg. Obviously he had a great context. Yeah. He also was a big part of why Malawash was good. Like if you watch those games, all those lobs are coming from Khan. Like
Cooper too.
Cooper too. There was a lot of big passing as well.
Yeah. Sure.
But a lot of the assists, especially when Cooper went out for that stretch, where Khan was the best lob passer on the team. And he was one of the few guys that could actually run a pick and roll on the team as well. So like, I actually think that Khan and Cooper, like Cooper obviously is another level of prospect, and anyone who gets to play with him is playing with easy mode basketball.
Yeah.
But Khan is a guy that I think was a big part of why that context was great. A year before, they had got Tyrese Proctor wasn't that great the year before that. They had a few of these guys on the team the year before. And Malawash was, once again, I think Malawash is, if he isn't good from day one in the NBA, you should be a little bit worried. Because he should theoretically be able to play 15, 20 minutes a game and give you like solid production. Like we've seen with a few examples of this are like Walker Kessler, Mitchell Robinson. Like we see this with these mold of guys from day one in the NBA. But yeah, so I actually think that the bigs are the ones that translate the quickest. So if you're drafting this guy, Yaxel, and he comes into this draft, you probably can play him from day one if he's 22 or 23.
We saw it last year. All the bigs came in and they all played. Yep. Pretty much all of the first round bigs played last year, and they were all like, because they were all competent and they all ended up being like pretty good. Like, so obviously like Filipowski is not like similar to like Malawash, but like, and like, someone like Ware has more like,
there was a lot of diverse style bigs in last draft.
Yeah. But
different
like
skill sets,
but they were still able to like play. Like in general, usually if a big is good, it's fouling is like what's going to stop them from playing. Like, but they're usually going to play if they're any good. So
yeah, no, I actually think that, I mean, look at the rookie teams. Edey, Clingan, Yves Missy, Sarr, like they all played from day one. And by the way, Sarr making first team,
absurd.
Insane.
Sorry.
Absolutely insane to put him.
I'm like not quite. I was low on Sarr coming out. I keep kind of like, yeah, maybe, I don't know with Sarr. He was terrible. His rookie. There's
but that was to be expected. But like, why is he making all rookie team? If you have to be like, he's a stretch big who doesn't play the 5 and also is not a good shooter, can't make layups. Now look, are some of the, and once again, I always go back to this Vicini quote from before the draft. Yeah, he's a pretty good passer for a big. He's a pretty decent like outside guy for a big. He's pretty decent at all this stuff for a big, but like if you're talking about as an NBA player right now, he's one of the worst players in the NBA. Now, long term, sure, I can see the vision a little bit, and I'm still a little bit skeptical, to be honest. I just don't think that your offense can be that bad in today's NBA and be like a high impact player. But the defense, the tools, if the shot comes around, sure, there's a player in there. But for 2025, like, I mean, bro, he was literally just played a lot.
Yeah, he was. I just, again, not to do an NBA like Twitter blogger like rant, but like, how do you not have people voting on this who like know? You know what I'm saying? Like, they're like, I'm sorry, we could grab any like 20 people out of the Discord and make better like rookie teams with them voting than like you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like right now, like
Filipowski and McCain absolutely deserve to make it over Sarr.
I don't understand like is it like just that there's like beat writers with like votes who like don't that's got to be it, right? Like, is this just like beat writers with like votes that like doing this type of
stuff? I mean, you just sort like, I saw a stat, someone sent a stat into the Discord that was like Alex Sarr is one of 3 bigs in NBA history to have like rookie bigs to have like a block and a half a game and a made 3 per game and something else. I was like, yeah, he played like 30 minutes a game and shot 5 threes per game. He shot 30% from 3. That's not good. Like, you're fine with it because who cares? You're the Wizards. You were tanking anyway. But to act as if that's like some like, oh, he's going to be a star thing he is literally, there were a lot of stats like this early in RJ Barrett's career and Jalen Green, where it's like, it's a volume thing where it's like, by this age, this many player that scored this many points, had this many, it's the Thad Young meme, but for young players, basically.
Right. Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, but these guys are just getting opportunities because they're on bad teams. Like, they're not, they're just getting like, It's not to say that they have no hope. It's to say that, like, stop comparing them to, like, Jason Tatum or whoever was actually good from day one in the NBA and played winning basketball.
I just don't understand how, like, it's your full-time job and you don't like I know more and I'm like, I fucking like,
job.
yeah, I was gonna say it's my part-time job, but like I go to like work, you know, like I at least like read the shit like afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing with your extra 8 hours during the day, bro? Like,
I always think of that
watch
Dane
some
Moore
games.
post from a few years ago. Do you remember that Dane Moore post, the Timberwolves writer, who was like, Zach Lowe? The people just literally just go off whoever Zach Lowe talks about and tells them about. And we didn't have Zach for most of this season. So people probably literally just like sorted by stats, and they were like, well, this guy scores a lot of points, and his defense was pretty good for a rookie big. And
I found out someone had a vote that I thought was like just a fan like earlier this year. And I was like, oh no, like, I don't usually like get mad about that stuff, but like,
do you think other people followed Zach when he said he wasn't going to do votes anymore? And they were like, I also don't want to vote.
Well, that's a whole other thing because
I know we hate it. It's stupid.
It's so fucking annoying.
We love Zach, but that's so whiny and like, come on, dude. Like you're Zach, dude. Like people are gonna take your word as gospel no matter what, and you're gonna have more influence over the. I mean, that's like being a political advisor and like being like, I'm not gonna vote for one of the candidates, but
I'm Karl Rove. I really didn't have much to do with that Iraq war, but like, you know. I was
Harry Bush. I can't say.
Yeah, you know, like I don't want to speak for Bush and Cheney, but like, you know, they were listening to me a little bit. Yeah, I just, you know, Zach. I mean, that maybe that's like just part of it, like with some of this stuff. I don't know. I think people are just scared to be. I mean, because I guess it is like a different media landscape, and I do think that like not everyone's built like, you know, me and Harrison and you to get like screamed at like 24/7, you know what I'm saying? So I think people do kind of try to avoid getting screamed at.
Well, I will say the one feature that I think not to hand it to ISIS here, but the one feature that Elon Musk added to Twitter that I do appreciate is that you have to have a blue check mark to DM people now. Like I used to have open DMs and anyone could DM me. And now, like, I don't get like death threats in my DMs anymore, which is good because I can just mute the tweets and then I act like people aren't.
Oh, I didn't know that. Blue check mark people, you can't. I still get the death threat tweets. So,
okay. Well, that's good. That's good to know. But I mute the tweet and I don't see it unless someone sends it to me.
Gotcha. Okay.
And in that case, I'm like, don't send this to me. I muted it for a reason.
Yeah. We need to have, I don't know. Maybe it's also just because I'm like a born contrarian. So like seeing people be tepid about like, I think things that are like, you know, they're a risk, but they're not like much of a risk. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. Not everyone's born to be out here saying, oh, you're that 68 win Oklahoma City Thunder are going to lose in the second round. Not everyone.
Not everyone's bold enough to be that wrong, that loud.
I'm still like kind of annoyed that like, because I gave up on it.
Hold on. Now look, the Nuggets had every chance to win that series.
Yeah,
they absolutely were in it with the Thunder. But like, bro, that series was not like. If you watch the games, the Thunder. First off, the Thunder should have beat them by more. Like they should have finished that series earlier. And I have to give the Thunder credit. They're a young team. They had never been in that spot before. They fought back in two of those games when they easily like. I thought they were about to go down 3-1, and it's over. Like. But we do this a lot with rewriting teams later. Everyone does this with the 2019 Raptors, wherever like you just look at that roster and you go, oh my God, this is a super team.
Yeah.
Because it has all-stars and Hall of Famers and Kawhi and Lauri and all that shit. But go back and look at some of those games, dude. Second round, they had to have the Kawhi shot to beat the Sixers. They almost had the same exact thing that happened with the Thunder. They almost went down 3-1 to the Sixers. And then Kawhi went nuts at the end of game 4. And then the Bucks series, they're almost down 3-0 in that series. No one's ever come back from down 3-0. And now we go, well, that's one of the strongest champions of the last whatever. People forget that like the Warriors were down 2-1 to the Grizzlies the first time they won their championship. And everyone had the same narratives about young teams can't win. And they've never won multiple playoff series before. And then a team does it. And it just, all of that other stuff doesn't matter. And like the Nuggets have the best player in the world, and even though he struggled 2 to 3 times in this series because their defense was fucking awesome. I still think that everyone would admit that Jokic is obviously the best player in the world. And look, I know the Giannis people will say Giannis, but like, I think Giannis has gotten the best PR possible by having the Bucks be shitty the last few years, personally. But I'm not saying Giannis isn't that guy. Giannis is very clearly the second best player. But I'm just saying, I think that the Thunder beating a weird matchup for them in the Nuggets, who have a ton of size and skill, I think that they kind of got a little bit of a monkey off the back.
I mean, yes, I do think they got a monkey off the back by getting through like round 2. I gave up the ghost when it wasn't the Clippers because I thought that was going to be the Zeke. But I don't know if I necessarily agree that's a bad matchup for the Thunder, though.
I thought going into the series that the Thunder were going to win in 6. Watching the series, it was very obvious that the rebounding advantage in the first game was what sunk the Thunder, and then the reason why the Nuggets were able to hang with them.
But they're always going to have that problem. They're not a good rebound.
Yeah, but here's the difference. The bigs that they'll be playing in, now look, the Timberwolves have a shot too, and whoever they face in the finals has a shot. I'm not saying the Thunder are shooing to win the title, but the Thunder shot like shit the whole series, which look, maybe that's just who they are. Look, I'm just laying it out. They shot 32% from 3 in this series.
Sure. Yeah.
And they still won the series.
Yep.
And the other part of this is that they had to play 2 bigs in that series. They had to play Hartenstein a lot of minutes, and their most effective lineups throughout the whole season and throughout these playoffs have been the Chet at the 5 lineups. And I don't know if this Wolves series will be a real test case to see if they can play the Chet at the 5 lineups. And even Peter, who's a Wolves fan, was like, Rudy still struggles against those lineups. Like, it's different when you have Rudy versus Jokic, is what I'm trying to say.
Sure. No, that's totally fair. But I also I do think that like there was I was a little surprised how much celebrating there was from like the Thunder side of it. And obviously there's an outsized reason why I'm going to see that. But I thought there was a little too much celebrating. I mean, it's like, bro, you were putting up like 93 points a game against the 23rd defense, like in the NBA. Like,
no, I'm not saying they're a perfect team, but I think that what I'm trying to say,
games. Like, I'm just saying, like this is, we talked all about how
if they win the next 2, if they win the next 2 rounds in 5 games, let's just hypothetically say that, then I'm just like, I just think that we get to, when we're in the middle of the playoffs, we always overreact in one way or the other. And it feels, I'm trying not to be Russillo right now, but I'm very much like, I really am going to be, because I'm going to be annoyed if they very clearly win the championship and then everyone goes, they're frauds. Like, I don't understand how you can win the most games. If anything, the Cavs and the Celtics were the frauds this year.
No, for sure. I mean, this is what I remember you saying when I said like the number that like they're going to lose in round 2. You said, I mean, if that's true and that happens, then there's no reason for anyone to ever pay attention to the regular season. And
I said if they lost in the second round, that would be the reason. Yes, that's they lost. They won the series, though.
I know. I'm still saying like that still applies to the other 261 teams, though, who also had a really good net rating. I think we're there. I don't think the regular season matters. I also don't think that like the Thunder are obviously a good team. They're obviously contenders. They're obviously I think they're probably still the favorites. And I think that they're, if they won the title, wouldn't surprise me by any stretch of the imagination. I just think that when we get into these things these days, I do think that there's less to take away from the regular season than these days than there has been in the past.
I mean, I think if this Knicks team wins the title, that is the proof of concept, I think. I know it sounds weird to say that about a team that was the 3 seed, but like 0 quality wins against the top teams in the regular season. Yeah. Their own fans kind of losing hope in them at multiple points during the season and them getting to the playoffs. And obviously health luck is a factor in this. I totally agree. But if they go on to win this finals, there's really no argument against that. I think it's going to be. I'm kind of in between the two things that we're trying to say here.
Yeah,
which is that I don't think the Thunder are frauds, but I also don't think they're as good as like the Warriors with KD and Steph, who didn't have the same achievements. Yes, I think we agree on that.
That's more my point. And the thing,
but also we're in a different era now, where Chiodo's been talking about this, where he's like, it's weird to say that it almost feels like superstars matter less during this era, and that's also Shea literally just outplayed Jokic in the last 3 games of that series, arguably the whole series.
Yeah,
and it is funny that we're having this argument now. But anyway, let's move on from this because we've talked about the Thunder plenty. The Nuggets. Is it Jover for them? Are they like? Do they have?
I thought it was. They fucking fired their coach before the 5 guys. Again, I don't want to like read. Again, like,
and the GM.
Yeah. All credit to the Thunder. They battled back. They did their thing. Like, you know, they did beat the best player in the world. This is also a Nuggets team that fucking fired everybody like a month before the season and was like a 20, you know, it was not going well for the Nuggets either. You know what I'm saying? Like, Aaron Gordon got hurt. And I think, you know, maybe looking back on it too, like Russ kind of turning back into a pumpkin during that. Now, a big part
Russ
of that
didn't have enough spite. This is my point.
Yeah.
Russ respects OKC too much. He was smiling with Shea after the games. OKC is his original home.
Yeah.
The Clippers, he had bitterness. He had anger. He said, "You cut me. I'm from LA. How could you do this to me?"
Yeah.
You traded me.
Or
he needed that.
It could have also been that the Thunder have really good defenders, and
also he just missed a bunch of open threes.
He missed about. I mean,
which if you zoom out and you give him a big enough runway there, Russ isn't going to shoot 40% from 3 like he did in the Clipper series. Right. He shot like 20-something% like he usually does.
Yeah. And I mean, again, and the Nuggets, again, I've talked about this. They're on the short list of teams like the Clippers, like the Bucks, like the Suns that have fucking nothing left.
Yeah.
Like really have nothing left. I feel like they did a Suns trade at some point. Did they do a swap on a swap already?
So they didn't do a swap on a swap, but they did like far out. They did trades with OKC a few years ago where they traded a pick they had protected for.
They traded like a first for seconds or something like that.
They traded for the Peyton Watson pick, which was the Suns pick originally. The Peyton Watson pick, so they took Peyton Watson. They had a few-year stretch where they took like Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther, Hunter Tyson, Jalen Pickett. A few of those were picks they got from OKC.
Yeah.
Which is why Calvin Booth ended up getting fired. And by the way, another guy who annoys the shit out of me on Twitter, but did bring up a good point the other day, Ben Thompson from Bucks Twitter, was like, Calvin Booth had more hits in the draft than John Horst has in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
And he got fired, and John Horst just got an extension. And now there are factors there, but I mean, we were both shocked when Horst got the extension.
Yeah.
But the Christian Brown, like, people say that Jokic, all these players are Jokic merchants. Christian Brown is not a Jokic merchant. He's just good.
He's good.
Yeah.
Like, I saw people poo-pooing like Christian Brown getting like $30 million. Like, that's not insane. I don't think that's insane. I think that's
no. I do think 30's too much. 25 though, 24.
And so would I say not insane? Like, if that happened, I'd be like, ooh, little steep. But I don't think that's like.
How much does Josh Hart make? Because I view them as similar level players.
Yeah, that's probably a good. I think he makes less. I think he like re-signed it like a weird thing. Like I think he makes
20. I think he makes 20 million now. I think he makes a little bit more.
I'll find this out.
Yeah. Because that's someone asked me to compare him to a player the other day, and that was my comp. Was like a 2-3 who's an extremely good driver that can finish plays, that can make the proper. He's not quite the I think Hart's a little bit better as a passer.
Hart's on a scam deal. It's 18, 19, 20, 22.
Okay, so Brown should get a little bit more than that. I think Brown should probably get like 22 a year.
I think if you account for where the cap was when Josh Hart signed that and like where we're going to be at, it's probably going to be like what Josh Hart signed is probably going to be the equivalent of like a $23 million contract. So,
yeah. Josh Hart took a pay cut in exchange for a podcast extension with Gary Vee, which honestly, that is like dinner with Jay-Z right there.
Talking to Gary. Do you remember Gary Vee?
Yeah.
Do Zoomers even know who Gary Vaynerchuk is anymore? Yeah, like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I see him on TikTok and stuff. Like he still goes viral on there.
That's so funny. I remember.
By the way, he goes to Knicks games all the time. I don't think that's a bit. I think that he actually knows those guys.
No, I'm sure that dog. That was like the beginning of me kind of going from like lib to like like leftist. Was like finding out because I had a friend who worked for like Vaynerchuk. Like
I knew a lot of people who worked for VaynerMedia. And it was a huge company at one point. I don't know if it still is, but
it was like what 2013 to like 2016.
Yeah, 20. I knew people that worked there like straight out of people I knew from college worked there. 2014, 2015. Yeah.
And that was what it was. One of my best friends from college like worked there, and she was always like posting things from like Gary Vee. And I was watching this, and I was like, wait, does this work on people? And it was like, it was like very disillusioning, like that people thought he was like interesting or had like things to say.
He was basically a precursor to Andrew Tate.
Kind of, he was like Andrew Tate for like
positive
mindset guys. Yeah.
Toxic positivity, hope core. Tate.
Yeah.
Tate is like a disgusting misogynist piece of shit. Horrible person.
Yeah, like the Dungeons and Dragons like alignment chart where you've got like Andrew Tate and chaotic evil, and you've got like Jordan Peterson and like lawful evil. He's like more of like a neutral, like lawful neutral type of force in terms of being a psycho. So
he's definitely. I think that Gary Vaynerchuk appeals more to like normies, and those other guys appeal to like terminally online incels, like insane people. And everyone's insane now, so they have a huge market. Luckily, like everyone just has their own delusions about the world and the world that we live in. How could you not at this point?
I love that we went from Christian Brown to Gary Vee.
Well, he might be into one of these guys.
Yeah, maybe
more of a Jordan Peterson guy, but
type guy. No, but like to your point, like Christian Brown has beaten the Jokic on-off curse. Like,
well, I don't know if the on-offs are good, but the stats are really good when he doesn't play with him, and you can just watch the games. He's one of the few players who's still good even when Jokic isn't out there.
I think that's what I'm saying is I think the on-offs bear out that like he's also a good player. Like
he's good.
Jokic is off. Like it's when Jokic and Brown are off now that they crater to being like G League team.
So someone brought up to me Michael Porter Jr. That's a tough contract because that's really their only move they could make, right?
Yeah, but
it's 2 years left.
It's Porzingis. Like you
have to take an undesirable contract back.
Yeah.
Is there anyone out there, like would the Jazz do Colin Sexton and John Collins for Michael Porter Jr. and one of the furthest out Denver first you could do?
Oh, for first.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, for first.
Because you have, once again, it's the Giannis thing with the Bucks. You have Giannis. You're going to explore every possible avenue to improve your team until you run out of shit. You have Jokic. You should be doing this. I'm not saying that's the trade, but what I'm trying to say is that there has to be a trade out there where they can get off the Michael Porter Jr. contract and get 1 or 2 rotation players back that are just like might become playable in the playoffs.
I might hire
at this point. I don't think Michael Porter Jr. is.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I would do that. I think I would just hire a new coach and like do kind of a weird off the wall hire and see if anyone can make shit work. You know what I'm saying? And like maybe see if like somebody can like unlock Julian Strawther or something.
All right, can I read you Michael Porter Jr. stats? Oh my God, dude.
I know
the last 4 games of this series. He was only good in 1 game, which was game 3. He went 7 of 10, had 21 points, 8 rebounds. Dude, this is like super Tobias Harris in the playoffs. Like way worse than Tobias ever was. 3 points on 1 of 7, 0-5 from 3, 9 rebounds. Next game, 2 points, 1 of 7, 0-5 from 3, 4 rebounds. The next game, 10 points, 4 of 9 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. The final game, 6 points. He only played 23 minutes in the final game because they were getting destroyed. 6 points, 3 of 8, 0 of 4 from 3. He is just like a bad player in the playoffs. And there was that one game when they had a chance to bury OKC. I think it was game 5. And he bricked every big shot down the stretch of that game. In the regular season, He shoots 40% from 3 on high volume throughout his career. In the postseason, that drops to 37%. And I think if you he shot 34% from 3 this year. There's like 1 or 2 series he's had where he shot like 60% from 3. And if you take out those 2 individual series, he's like a 34% 3-point shooter in the playoffs. Like and that's his main skill.
Yeah.
I just think that there has to be a team out there that's willing. I threw out there the Michael Porter Jr. and maybe a far out first for RJ Barrett and Ochai Agbaji from the Raptors, a team that needs spacing. And once again, the Jonte Porter thing obviously throws a wrinkle in this.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
You actually have to worry about an ongoing criminal case.
A criminal investigation. Yeah.
Which is wild. But there has to be something out there. Is there I'm literally just spitballing here. Like, so people have said they should try to get KD. They don't have enough to get KD. Like, and even if they did, like, I don't know, KD's 37. Like, if you're doing a Hail Mary to save the Jokic stuff, sure, he's much better than Michael Porter Jr. Just probably figure it out. But like, could you do Christian Brown and Michael Porter Jr.? But then at that point, you don't have any other good. You have kind of Slop heavy again.
Yeah, you're kind of shooting yourself at the foot at that point. I don't know if I would do that. Are we sure the Suns wouldn't say no to the far out first and Michael Porter Jr. for KD?
That's it for KD?
Oh, what are the better offers for KD going to be?
I have been saying I think that people are going to be shocked when they see Kevin Durant's trade market with his age and contract status and how much
the good teams can't trade for him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the other thing is you would have to. Yeah, you can't really trade with each other. It needs to be a 3-team trade, so you have to like spin off.
Yeah,
the thing where you're spinning off someone to like another team at some point. I mean,
that's cap space thing. By the way, I don't know if you saw that report.
No,
I can't remember who it was from, but they basically said what you've been saying about the Nets with cap space, which is that they're gonna be able to get like multiple first-round picks or swaps or something just to take on salary because they're the only cap space team this year.
They're the only ones that are left. Yeah,
and like, these teams can't make trades because of the apron shit.
Yeah, and like they're gonna need that. Like the Nets are gonna be able to hold a lot of these second apron teams hostage. Like the Boston Celtics, there's like a chance the Boston Celtics end up like sending whatever guy they pick at like 34 to the Nets to pay for like whatever like salary cap. Like in the Drew Holiday trade, they're going to be like taking on Jordan Walsh and also getting this other young pick because like
I did have a perverted idea, which was what if the Nets are the 3rd team in the Kevin Durant trade?
Okay.
And they were just like, whatever picks you can get out of whatever team wants to trade for KD, if you could get like 3 firsts for KD, even if we have to take bad salary back, we just send out like Cam Johnson or Nick Claxton, and then the Suns obviously love Cam Johnson. I mean, It would be brutal to trade for Cam Johnson after you traded Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and picks for KD. But at this point, are you getting a player better than Cam Johnson for Kevin Durant back?
The Nets should be doing that, like type of stuff. By the way, like
I think they should be if the Bucks are willing to trade them a pick to get off the Dame contract, I would do that if I were the Nets.
I'm still kind of shocked the Nets didn't trade everyone at the deadline last year. That was kind of insane.
Maybe they knew that they were going to be able to get away with it this summer. I mean, last time they waited, the Mikal Bridges trade happened, but they also had the Dorian Finney-Smith thing where they waited too long. I don't know if Sean Marks is a good GM anymore. I'm kind of to the point where I think I think he's fucked up a lot. The Harden trade was horrible for them.
Yeah, the Harden trade was bad. That's one of the original.
The first Harden trade I understand. The second one is the bad one, the Ben Simmons one.
Taking the Allen Crabbe contract back for free was pretty bad too.
I mean, he's done a lot of stuff. Like he had to use a first to get off that to open up cap space to get KD and Kyrie, which obviously you do, but like,
that was an unforced error though. Like,
yeah, they also got Torian Prince, who I think they were taking a flyer on in that trade, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. He did. I mean, look, he did draft Jared Allen. He did draft Karis LeVert in the late 20s, which looks like a pretty good pick at that point. He did find Nick Claxton.
We're now getting back around to the draft stuff with him. He hasn't drafted in so long, like real picks that matter.
This is what I'm saying.
This is the first time he's ever had a lottery pick.
This is what I'm saying. I don't. Yes, some of the stuff has been bad. I still give him an incomplete because, like, what happened? I know I bring it up.
I know. Yeah. But bro, he's been the GM for a decade.
Like, I know.
Like, what other GM still has his job that has done what he's done? It's kind of wild.
Windhorst.
Yeah, but Windhorst won a title. Like, once again, it is luck of the draw shit. I don't disagree there, and we're not going down that path again. KD's foot's on the line. Maybe Sean Marks looks like a genius, and Windhorst looks like a fucking idiot. Doesn't have a job. My point is that we live in the reality where the thing went bad for the Nets, and he still has his job.
I get it, but like also like part of that was like ownership directed too. You know what I'm saying? Like I like
it's kind of like the Morey and Josh Harris thing, but a smaller scale where they keep him around because he can be the guy everyone gets mad at.
Yeah.
And he helps them save money.
I don't know. I really do think like he has like actually like good moves. Like Karnisovas has like no good moves.
Who would you like for them in the draft? Oh no! By the way, Karnisovas should be fired into the sun. Like he sucks. Except for the Montas pick, which I will give him credit for.
Yeah, I was gonna say I guess he left, but the Kings GM that I forget his name, the guy who just left there.
Monty McNair.
Monty McNair was dog ass. Like
I think that was also ownership.
Yeah, it might have also been ownership. Like, but
who do you like for the Nets in this draft?
I mean, whoever's there. 8 is low enough where they're just gonna kind of be able to like take whoever they want. I mean, I feel like Fears kind of has like the upside, and that kind of seems like where this is trending, where they probably end up with Fears. But like if Trey Johnson slides, that's a great pick for them. If
I want the Sixers to take Trey Johnson. I think that guy, I know that all the other stuff is like questionable with him. Bro, the shot making is special with that.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there with him. The more of him I watch, I'm
going back to the old me. I'm fucking getting so hooper pilled every time I watch Trey Johnson, dude.
I'm falling for it too. He is like the ultimate. So because like Ace Bailey is supposed to be this player where like the calculator rats like burn him down, but you watch the tape and you're like, he's awesome.
Oh no, Trey's stats suck compared to when you're looking for other. Like, the only thing he's good at is scoring, shooting, and he has passing flashes. But oh my god, he pops. Like he pops.
I still gotta like talk myself into the defensive upside. I know he's thin as shit and he doesn't try.
He's got a 6'10" wingspan.
Yeah.
How bad can you possibly be? Like, I'm like, if he puts on weight, which he has to anyway.
I think he could be like if he can be a normal defender, which, you know, sometimes guys just don't do that, but like he's the ultimate. I think even more so than Ace.
He's the Devin Booker. He's the Devin Booker upside swing of this class. He's the special shot maker. Shooting is elite. By the way, we talked about Ace Bailey being potentially the Jaylen Brown style, which normally goes not right, to be clear. Jaylen Brown is one of one in that regard. But he is that swing in this draft. Ace is that swing.
Yeah.
The stat comp, number one most similar stat comp when I did Ace Bailey, or I'm sorry, Trey Johnson. Do you want to guess who it was?
Simon.
There's actually two guys that I thought were interesting style outcomes for him. Malik Monk.
Okay.
And Jamal Murray were the two that were the closest stat comps that I got for him for NBA players.
Significantly smaller than him, right? Like I think they're 6'4" and 6'3". Like,
yeah. And Trey's like 6'5", 6'6" with a 6'10" wingspan. They both, I know Malik has long arms. I don't know I'm assuming Jamal has.
Malik's like genuinely short. Isn't Malik like 6'2" or 6'3"?
Yeah, but he has long arms. He's like Maxey.
Yeah. God. I'm right there with you. I dropped Trey for a while, like down to 8, and now like the more I'm like watching some of this stuff, I have him 3. I'm like I think that if you're taking a, because I actually think, okay, so let me just do a little bit of board stuff here because I have a few thoughts on these guys. I have a few tiers that I've laid out. All right, Flag and Harper, I don't need to talk about them. Trey, I have this tier, which I literally just have Trey in a tier of his own, just like I do with Flag and Harper, where it's literally just superstar upside swing, but like 6-man potential. Like I don't think the floor falls out with him. I think the floor with him is literally what Will said. He's Malik Beasley. Like
Like the worst case scenario is, obviously you don't want to take Malik Beasley with the 3rd pick of the draft, but if you're swinging for Jamal Murray, Devin Booker level outcomes and you get Malik Beasley, shit happens in the draft. Like sometimes you swing for a Jaylen Brown, Brandon Ingram level outcome and you get Kevin Knox.
Well, that's my thing is, you know me, I like to play it safe, but I agree. I don't think Trey Johnson, I think he's going to be an NBA player kind of no matter what. I don't think you miss if you draft Trey Johnson. I think he would be, I think Malik Beasley or something like that is his worst, kind of a worst case outcome for him. And that, like you said, it's not what you want at 3, but I'm kind of getting there. Who else am I going to put there? I still have VJ over him. I still do like VJ's thing, but
VJ's in my next tier. My next tier starts with Con. Yeah, so I have Con at 4. I have VJ at 5. I have Malawach at 6. I have Ace Bailey at 7. Now this tier, I almost want to put Ace in the next tier down, where it feels like a star or bust type thing because of who Ace is as a prospect.
Right.
But I have Con, VJ, and Malawach in this tier, which is good role players with outlier star paths. Yeah. So I'm pretty certain that they're going to be 10-year, 15-year NBA players. Yeah. But if one or two things goes differently for them, with VJ, it's the handle. The handle's everything with VJ for me. And this is Dan, my buddy Dan Smith, who is Dan from the web in our Discord and on Twitter, has brought this up, which is that the finishing question marks with VJ are handle based. The creation is handle based. He's a very good basketball player. The defense is very legit. The steal and block stuff, great team defender. I think he'll get better on the ball. And the handle is he clearly doesn't trust. I think it's his left hand he doesn't trust, which is his offhand. And then the right hand isn't super strong for a guard. Yeah. Now, I think if a team gets him in, whether it's the Sixers or the Hornets or whoever, and they go, oh, we're whatever. This is nothing. There are, oh my God, this guy can become even better because it's the handle and then eventually the pull-up jumper. Because that's all of the handle gets better. Everything becomes better. With Con, for me, it's can he survive on defense? And does the off the dribble 3-point shooting get there? Because right now, really good off the catch, was a pull-up shooter in high school. By the way, I don't know if you know this about Con's pedigree is kind of a little bit underrated. I feel like he led the EYBL, I think it's called, in scoring. He had a stretch this year without flag in the conference tournament where he was awesome. Yeah. And there are outlier, he kind of falls in the bucket of he might be Luke Kennard in the NBA. I think he's he processes the game a little bit faster. I think he's a little bit more has more on-ball potential than a guy like Luke Kennard. The athleticism questions are very real with him, and I don't want to just say that they're going to be totally fine because all the indicators are that he might just not be a star level athlete. But there are a few guys that fall into this bucket that have hit recently. Devin Booker, Tyler Hero, Jared McCain, they're all in that same bucket as Con. And honestly, I think Con, for what he is right now, is better than those guys when they came into the draft. Now, what they became in the NBA is they hit their ceilings. Yeah. But I think with him, I think that there are outlier star paths for him.
It's definitely true. I'm a little more Con agnostic. I'm not low on Con, but I think Con's going to be a really good NBA player for a long time. I have a little bit harder of a time seeing the star outcome stuff for him, just because I feel like the athleticism that's such a limiting thing. Yeah. It's such a limiting thing. And even guys like Tyler Hero
just saw it with Reed. I know Reed's smaller, but we saw it with Reed where it's jarring how different it looks on an NBA court.
Yeah. And just even someone like Tyler Hero is a much better athlete than Con. Con's bigger, I think, but Tyler Hero is a pretty decent athlete.
Well, he's fast. He has elements. His balance is really good. Yeah. He has athletic elements about him. Honestly, the thing, maybe I'm just doing a little bit of recency bias because I feel like I just went through this with Jared McCain last year where I was like, I like McCain, but here I'm worried about this, this, and this. And then I watch Con and I'm like, Con's better than Jared McCain was in college.
Yeah.
He's bigger and he has literally all of the same question marks. The difference is that if Con has to play on the wing, athleticism is more important on the wing, I think.
Yes.
Than like if you're like a combo guard or whatever McCain ends up becoming in the NBA. So I do understand that.
Yeah.
Having said that, I think that there is like once again, with VJ, it's outlier, but also he could be a high impact. He could be Derrick White. And if he's there, by the way, identical measurements to VJ coming out. Like literally almost, he's a little bit shorter than VJ coming out as well. Was 6'3.5" without shoes at the combine, Derrick White. Same exact wingspan, same exact standing reach, similar weight. That, if you want to
Speaking of my guys, by the way, VJ, I didn't say it before. VJ stamped my guy. That is one of my guys.
I mean, the hopium with VJ is that, oh my God, he figures out the handle and it unlocks everything for him. And he is like even better than Derrick White. He's like an all-star.
Yeah.
The realistic level outcomes are probably more in that Derrick White, Jalen Suggs style of off-ball guard who is still valuable on the ball, but it brings most of his value with ancillary skills.
Yeah.
And then the guy that I struggled the most with, the two guys I think I could see having, I think that I struggled the most with Malawash.
Yeah.
Because I could see 3 different outcomes for him where I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I see this coming? He's fucking Rudy Gobert with a 3-point shot, like someone said Flop said in the Discord the other day.
Yeah.
And then there's another outcome where I'm like, yeah, he's pretty good. And then there's another outcome where I'm like, oh, I think we just overrated him because he's massive.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've got the Bamba. There's a Bamba. He's not as skilled as like because the thing
Bamba could actually shoot coming out.
Yeah,
Malawash, it's just an idea.
Yeah, it's just an idea. God, I'm a little annoyed at how much we agree this year. Like I feel like we agree this year a lot more than we have like in past years. Because I feel
Trey third on your board. I have Trey 3.
I have him 4 though.
Oh.
Like I'm doing the same thing. We didn't talk about this at all, but I did the exact same thing. Like
let's just run down our lottery.
Okay.
I have Flag 1, Harper 2. By the way, this changes every fucking day at this point. But Trey Johnson 3, Con Knipple 4, VJ Edgecombe 5, Malawash 6, Ace Bailey 7. I even moved Ace up. I'm perverted. That might just be because the Sixers got the pick. He's not my kind of prospect at all.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Fears, I have him at 8. This is going to be a big disagreement, I think. And this is, once again, in this tier of like, you got to squint a little bit to see it. Colin Murray Boyles at 9. That's probably the disagreement.
That'll be our disagreement, I think. Yeah.
Danny Wolf from Michigan, I have him 10.
Higher than I have him, but like I'm getting
the handle with him is what gets me. The handle with Danny Wolf is like for a 7-footer that's that fluid that they ran offense through and cut. Now, the one thing that you worry about with him is like he shot like shit from the line last year. And he has a larger sample of being like an okay free throw shooter. He's like the Filipowski of this class. Where like you're offensively tilted, skilled big. Maybe there's more upside there. Maybe he could become like a Nikola Vucevic or something in the NBA.
We were talking about this in our DM the other day. Those guys are usually pretty undervalued. Like
bigs. That's honestly like Derek Queen is not normally my style of prospect either.
Yeah.
And I have Derek Queen literally one spot below him at 11 because both of those guys because they're bigs with handles.
Yeah.
And like I think just having a handle as a big nowadays is way more important than it used to be. And one of the reasons why I think Malawach's ceiling might be a little bit overrated because I don't think he's ever going to be able to handle the ball in the same way these other guys can.
Yeah.
But you're buying in on him with the defense and the play finishing, and then maybe if he can eventually shoot, he can be someone said in the Discord, Bill's comp for Embiid, which was 7-2 Serge Ibaka. Which I at one point I wanted to make that, but I didn't know if it came across as wrong.
Yeah.
12. I have right now. I don't even feel strongly about Yakin Junis here, but I have him 12.
Okay.
And then I have Carter Bryant 13, and I have Coward 14, Sorber, Clayton, Jace, all just outside my lottery.
I was going to ask where Sorber and Jace were, because those are also kind of like my guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, you didn't have, you don't have Nick Clifford anywhere near the lottery?
I have him 20.
20, okay.
I could see moving him up because I buy the defense, I buy the rebounding, and he's going to very obviously be an NBA player.
Did you say Sengue? Did I miss that?
I didn't rank him. I don't know what to do with him.
Okay.
I've decided I'm just not going to rank the foreign guys this year. Because
okay.
Here's why.
Okay. There
isn't a top prospect. There isn't like a number 1 overall pick or number 2 overall pick this year. And I don't know can anyone tell me why everyone's so confident that Noah is like a slam dunk when like the league that he plays for and the team that he plays for has been known for literally hyping guys up and putting them on the ball so that they can get the buyout stuff from other pro leagues and like the NBA. That's like a thing that happens in soccer apparently a lot. I was just told this. And once again, I could be wrong. Noah could be whoever, but I don't know enough. Like I've seen lowlights from Noah, and once again, I haven't even watched a full game, so how can I confidently say? But like, I've seen lowlights from Noah where I'm like, they're worse than Ace, who everyone shits on for his lowlights. Now, Noah's tools are outrageous, and he's an idea player.
I think he's an idea player that's like worth.
I understand.
Yeah,
I could be wrong here.
Yeah,
but like I'm kind of surprised how much everyone just says this guy is 100% going to be an NBA player. When I'm like, I don't know anything about this team or this league or this context. And like before, at least with like Ricochet and going back 2 years ago, Wemby was an obvious the Troy Weaver, Halle Berry looks good in a grocery store. I don't give a shit. Yeah, the Thompson twins were amazing in Overtime Elite. They jump off the screen. Even with Ricochet, I struggled with this last year where I was like, he's kind of a role player on this like team that I don't know a ton about. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to do with Noah.
I feel way more that way about Nolan Traer and the other the center.
But Nolan's
guy.
At least on the ball. Like I mean, I'm not a fan of his, but what I'm trying to say is like, you at least get that. Like, I feel like Noah, they've just done that recently, right? And his stats are better than what was his name? Pacome Date or whoever they had last year. Yeah.
Wait, are you talking about Noah? You're talking about Sengue, not Noah Penda, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about Sengue.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say
I had him, and I was literally just going based on vibes. Yeah. I was like, yeah, sure. Like Matt Powers posted something where his transition stats were awesome. And his stats look good, but like, in what context?
The tape I looked at on him, it looked pretty good. Maybe I caught the right games.
I think you could make a highlight package to make anyone look good.
That's true.
And then if that's the goal of this team,
that's true.
Like I could be wrong, and this could be fucking Giannis, and I look like an idiot.
Yeah.
But also there's only like, I talked about this with someone the other day who was a little bit skeptical on Noah, but they generally liked him. I think they had him somewhere at like the end of their lottery in the teens. And they were like, no, I see the vision with him for sure. Like I don't hate him, but they were like, we were both like, we search for a Giannis every year, and we haven't had a Giannis since Giannis.
Oh, I don't think he's like a Giannis, you know.
No, but what I'm trying to say is that those kind of prospects, like the guys that play in like B leagues that are in foreign, whatever, that have tools, and it just feels like we get more and more of these guys every year. Now, Noah at least has some indicators that there might be more upside there, right?
Yeah.
Like Noah got better as the year went along. Noah draws fouls. That's like a good sign for a guy in that thing. He's like a legitimate defender, although some people
really
say
young.
Really young. Some say Penda's better on defense than Essengay. I don't fucking know.
He's 6'9". Like,
yeah, but I'm not doing the foreign guys this year. I've just decided I don't know enough.
So, but yeah, we also probably should call him a Sengue because like there's 3 different French guys who are Noah, Nolan.
Yeah,
Nolan. Like
Sengue. Yeah, that sounds good.
Sengue, Traore, and Penda. But yeah, I'm glad you didn't say anything about Asa Newell, Igor Demine, or Liam McNeely, or we were gonna have an argument because I think all those guys stink.
Liam,
I tried to talk myself into Newell, but no.
Okay, so the Newell stuff is you're going based on pedigree. He played with Cooper Flagg and Derek Queen at Montverde, if I remember correctly. I think Liam McNeely was also on that team. What a fucking team. Jesus Christ. So the thing of those guys, Newell, I haven't been a Newell guy this whole time. I have him at like 19, I think. I'm not.
I think I'm gonna have him lower than that.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. He's not my kind of prospect. I know people that like him, and I understand their argument for it. It all comes down to can he shoot or not for me, and he hasn't shown it so far. The question who were the other two you said? Liam McNeely and Igor Demine sucks.
Igor Demine, yeah.
We don't even have to talk about him. If he goes in the lottery, that team should be abolished. That guy is not an NBA player. Yeah. Liam McNeely, I have this is a new YKB thing I want to introduce him.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I know he was your guy last year, but I'm going to call this the Jacoby Walter Nick Smith Jr. honorary award, where it's very obvious.
So you're going to argue he's good?
No, I'm going to argue that despite all of the evidence in their college season, this guy deserves to be nowhere near the NBA, but because they were good in high school, everyone refuses to believe that they could not be NBA players. And we're going to draft him in the first round anyway, just like we did with Nick Smith Jr. 2 years ago, just like we did with Jacoby Walter last year. Liam McNeely is the high school guy for this class, where I watched, that March Madness game I watched him play was legitimately one of the worst games I've ever seen from a prospect. We watched it in New Orleans, and I was like, this is a disaster. Yeah, that's a good name. What is Skal Labissiere?
Skal Labissiere,
yeah. That honorary award
is
the now look, maybe there's a world, but he's my guy this year, where I think him and Igor Demine are probably the two. Because with Newell, like, at least is like, he's athletic. He was somewhat productive. He got better as the year went on, if I remember correctly. I don't remember much about his contacts at Georgia, so I can't really say that much. But long story short on this, I think those are the two guys that I would throw into that bucket this year, where if they go in the first round, it's only because they were good prior to college.
Yeah.
And that there's no pathway for them to even be starter level players in the NBA. And if at that point you're literally just drafting, hoping they could be a bench player, like, I don't know.
I don't like see, like, with Colin Murray Boyle, like the other guys that I don't like Yakukonis, whatever, however you say that, Colin Murray Boyles, like those guys, like, they're not my cup of tea, but like, I don't feel like comfortable saying gun to my head, like, these guys are definitely going to be bad. Like, they could own me. Like, I'm not high on them compared to like other people. I understand like the arguments for both those guys. I think there's pretty easy ways to see both those guys be good. McNeely and Newell, I don't see it like at all. I have like no, it's not a matter of like things.
We agree on McNeely at a minimum.
Yeah. Like and Igor Demine too is part of that, but maybe that's just beyond any of that. All three of those guys being.
I've been seeing him, like, he's been doing good in workouts, and like apparently he's been getting buzz in the top 20, and I'm like,
insane.
What?
Insane.
He was horrible against better competition. He's so upright, dude. Like the argument for him is like, oh, the shot comes around and then he's like an off-ball guy who can handle it and play. I'm like, I don't see it.
No.
I don't see it.
He's got like fake skill. You know what I'm saying?
I also think it's a red flag that he was like, I'm coming out after that season.
Yeah.
That, like, if I go back to college, I might be a second round pick next year.
You don't want to play with AJ next year, man? Like, that's kind of crazy. Like,
everyone thought he was going to potentially go back, and then he decided to come out, and like, he probably still would have got a lot of money.
He definitely would have got a lot of money. They got AJ looking like he's in fucking Get Out in front of the Latter-day Saints fucking church.
Dude, that was a surreal picture.
I'm off Twitter right now, but let's just say I have like 4 different quote tweets of that picture that are in my drafts right now for whenever I come back to Twitter, because like I was like, oh my God. It looked like something that like Rust Cole would find like a Polaroid of that picture in a book in True Detective. Like something bad happened to AJ, and like he's like that's like something he finds like in like a book somewhere. Like,
my God,
bad. AJ, you're a masshole, man. You don't need to be doing that.
Absurd. By the way, we need I'm assuming this question is for you because you're a big Jace guy. What's a good comp for Jace?
That's a good question.
Before I found out he was 6 foot and weighed less than Jeremiah Fears, I probably was like, I think my comp for him was like smaller Andrew Nembhard, but I don't know. Oh, God, he's so good at basketball. That's why I still have him in my top 20, despite all of the question marks about the size and stuff. The best like style of outcome for him, probably with the size concerns, is like a Deuce McBride level player, not the same kind of player.
Yeah.
But like in that mold of like guy who is very short, but also has things that can keep him on an NBA court, long arms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like, you know, I was going to say like, not really like this type of player, but like, you know, like like a Malik Monk kind of like caliber of player, I feel like is the high upside like end for Jace. Obviously like Malik Monk's like bigger. I'm not saying role. I'm not saying like
Malik is like a crazy athlete
and he's a scorer.
Yeah.
I don't think Jace is a non-athlete. Like
I mean, for an NBA guard, Malik Monk is like a jump out the gym.
Yeah,
he might be like one of the 5 fastest players in the NBA.
I'm just saying, like I'm using Malik Monk as like a high level 6 man. I think is like your ceiling for Jace. Like is more what I'm saying. And he's not even necessarily like a 6 man. And maybe the fact that I'm like struggling for comps tells you everything you need to know right there. And I'm gonna look stupid because there's not really a comp. I do think Jace.
That's why I said Deuce, because he's like a role player 6 man.
Yeah. I feel like there's more to, I don't know. Like there's something about Jace. He's just better at basketball than like a lot of these guys. And he really is going to be like,
I love Deuce McBride coming out, by the way. I have someone, the one who is Jace Richardson Make-A-Wish Fund comments, found an old Deuce McBride tweet I had from the 2021 draft about how we should draft them. But I talked myself into Springer, and then Springer sucked. So I hate making tools picks. I need to stop doing that.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, oh, Jaden Springer. No, he stinks. He's a linebacker.
God, it's such an insane. But you know what the thing is with Jace, even with like as small as he is, he still ended up with like 5 rebounds per game. Like, I'm just saying, there's a lot of Pritchard is like, he's not like a hooper though, but it's weird. But I think he's gonna like.
He's a little bit of a hooper. I think he's got. I don't think I actually don't hate the idea of him becoming like a Peyton Pritchard style player.
Yeah, Peyton Pritchard's probably the closest. I don't think he's quite that caliber of like hooper, but I think he's a little bit more of a glue guy than like Peyton Pritchard. You know what I'm saying? Like I think he's gonna make the right play, and I just think he's gonna be like a. God, it's so like hard.
Well, I think that's why I said Deuce, because people don't remember this. Deuce was a hooper in college. He was like a dog and a hooper. I remember calling him small Marcus Smart when he was coming out, but he had way more of a mid-range game. I mean, he showed a little bit of that in the NBA. He's become a really good 3-point shooter. But as a prospect, Deuce McBride was like a little bit. It was similar to Jace, I would say.
I just think Jace is going to like break a bunch of records where it's going to be like, wait, why does Jace Richardson?
Oh, this is why you love him. Someone just said good Cole Anthony.
I do love Cole. I still do kind of like Cole. Cole Anthony's a hooper though too. You know what I'm saying? Like
also an athlete. That's pretty good athlete.
Maybe.
Okay, someone said Trey Mann. No, Trey Mann is a hooper's hooper.
Yeah.
Trey Mann was one of my favorite draft prospects of the last 10 years. I absolutely love that guy. Honestly, I think that's why I'm worried I'm falling for it with Trey Johnson a little bit. Because he plays like Trey Mann, but Trey Mann was also much smaller.
God, dog, the shooting though.
He reminds me of Chris Middleton.
Exactly. Like
the shooting off the dribble is nuts.
the movement shooting, the off the dribble stuff,
bag work.
It's just.
He's going to be bald. That's why I'm shocked that everyone does this with Ace. I'm like, Ace does not play like Trey Johnson, dude. Like Trey plays like someone that Ball Don't Stop would adore. Well, and Ace plays more like, I guess Ace is like, I might get hate for saying that. He has like Tobias Harris in his game, like, but also Hoopers like Tobias, to be fair, because he's a mid-range guy.
Yeah,
he's a little like.
Well, I just don't understand why Ace has all this like untapped defensive upside, but like Trey doesn't. Like I understand he's taller, but like
he's taller, longer. In theory, will fill out his frame more. That's the idea with Ace.
I'm not willing to like bet that like Ace is a better defender than Trey Johnson at the next level. Like,
I guess Ace was a better defender in college. I mean, he at least had the rim protection stuff and helped defense and got blocks. Trey's defense it's pretty bad. I'm telling you, I've watched a lot of Trey. Like, I would say he was one of the prospects I followed throughout the whole process. Yeah. Once I thought the Sixers might keep their pick, the defense is very bad right now. But everything, by the way, apparently one of the things that one of the No Ceilings guys said was that he has like a Jimmy Butler's approach to basketball, where he's like kind of a psycho, which they were like could go one way or the other, where it's like he like is like kind of like if he goes to the wrong team, it could be bad, but if he goes to the right team, it could be like dangerous in a good way.
I think I'm in on Trey Johnson, which is crazy because I had him at like 10 at the beginning of the process when I was like looking at the efficiency stuff and everything. When I was just doing calculator rat board, the more I watch him, I'm like,
he's the best shot maker in the class by a mile.
And just I know the defense is bad, but like I watch him and I'm like, there's no reason you should be bad at defense though. Like if he could, I think you could get buy-in from him. Like I really do. I don't know. Like
I think Trey's got a much deeper bag than Ace.
Yeah.
I think Trey's off the dribble shooting is, I mean, there isn't even Ace is better in the mid range. Trey is better from 3. But Trey is not that far behind Ace in the mid range, and I think that his moves will translate more to the NBA than Ace will.
Yeah,
I think Ace is going to struggle a lot early, and I think he's going to get his shit sent because he's not used to these long defenders who are strong that will put a body in him. And look, Trey's going to have to deal with the same shit, but like watch Trey's release and watch where the space that he can create in some of these games. And the tough shot making that he can make, like on the move and stuff, I'm like way in on Trey.
When was the last time a Texas prospect was like worse than we expected?
Mo Bamba.
Oh, wait, he was Texas?
Bamba, Turner.
Turner was good. Turner was better than expected. Durant was better than expected. I'm trying to think who else.
I mean, it's just they fired their coach this year, by the way, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's these are multiple different iterations of players and coaches. And
I just feel like Texas.
TJ Ford. Wow, that's a throwback. I love TJ Ford when I was younger.
Just generally speaking, yeah, I guess Mo Bamba's the one. I was going to say, generally speaking, I feel like whenever there's a Texas guy, it's like they usually are better. Yeah.
Well, people brought this up when you talked about when you said Mo Bamba, the comp with Malawatch. Mm-hmm. First off, Malawatch is a better prospect than. Oh no, I shouldn't say that. Everyone loved Mo Bamba. I wasn't really into that draft, so I can't say.
Oh, I fell for it hard with. Bamba.
Okay, but here's the thing. In most worlds, Mo Bamba works.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that way about Michael Beasley. That's my thing. It's like, I don't know if you know this, but like they'll always talk about like these guys that get drafted high, like these wings that were like productive and like great college players that didn't work out in the NBA. And Beasley is always the one that's like, how did that not work? But I'm like, you know how Bill talks about like, I usually think less of like, it matters what team you get drafted to, but him getting drafted to Miami and then Miami having to get rid of him so that they could sign LeBron.
Yeah.
Michael Beasley is the guy that I think like probably could have hit higher end outcomes and I think he had some injuries too. Like he's my guy, but Mo Bamba's another one where it's like, if he cared about basketball at all, he had all of the thing with Mo is that he was just like, and maybe it's, we don't see it as much with Malawatch because he's because he's just such a crazy long like guy that might have some switching potential in the NBA, but like the feel stuff with Mo was like very evident when I watched him on the Sixers. Like he just does not know where to be. He doesn't know what to do. Like it is just, and most of those guys with those tools just have such a larger margin for error. But if you hate basketball and you're kind of like, low feel, like it's not going to work out for you. I don't think that's the case with Malawach.
Yeah, I don't know. Malawach is my guy early in the process, but he's the one I'm kind of picking apart as we get closer, where I'm like, I'm not sure. Like
there's so much, the two guys I think that I'm a little bit skeptical on, that I still have higher on my board, are him and Ace, but those kind of prospects have the most margin for error of any of these guys.
I think like, I feel pretty comfortable. Both those guys are going to be in the league 8 years from now.
Yeah.
Like, even if they're bad,
they won't be working at YKB.
Yeah.
They won't be working at the YKB empire in 8 years.
Yeah. Liam McNeely will be our intern.
Yeah. He'll be in the old man in the 3 with Liam McNeely.
Liam McNeely in the move. Yeah. But
so you tell me what your picks are for these conference finals, because I don't think we've gotten them on the record for you.
I don't know. Like I got
to pick again. You told me we're picking every round.
I know. I've definitely they call me the male Kylie Chung for making picks in this.
We're chunging it.
Yeah. I don't. The thing about the Knicks is I don't know what Knicks team is gonna fucking show up. You know, I feel like the Pacers are a pretty known like quantity. I think if the Knicks team that just played the Celtics shows up, I think this is a 7-game series, could actually be like one of the great series of all time. I think it could be actually a lot of fun. I think these teams are very interestingly matched up. I think both these coaches are really good. We have two real old dirtbag like style coaches that are not going to like care. There's bad blood. These teams played each other in the playoffs last year. Both of these teams kind of have like chips on their shoulder. Like, so I think that if you told me that like the Knicks immediately went back to the Detroit team and immediately got rinsed like by the Pacers, I would believe that also. I don't think the Knicks like destroying the Pacers is the only outcome that would really shock me, but they've already done it. They've already done it this year. So like, you know, who knows? Maybe they own me again. I'm going to split the difference. I'm going to say Pacers in 6 is my pick.
Mark Henry sent me this stat earlier. In the last 67 games, the Pacers are 48-19. They started 10-15. I'm still going with the Knicks. I'm going Knicks in 7.
Okay.
And I'm going Thunder in 6. And I congrats to Wolves fans. I can literally never pick your series right. So you're going to the finals apparently. Because every time I pick for the Wolves, they lose. And every time I pick against the Wolves, they win. So I'm sticking with my original Thunder in 6 in the conference finals prediction. And then on the other end, I'm going Knicks in 7. There's no logic behind any of this. The Pacers have been the better team. They've been on a heater, but I hate to say it. The Knicks have a little bit of team of destiny energy to them.
They've pizza rat mode is.
Yeah.
I still totally don't know what to make of that Celtics series, because I'm genuinely like thrown by how different they played that entire Pistons series in game 1 versus like, I mean, maybe Thibodeau just made like crazy adjustments.
What are your team of destiny rankings for the remaining 4 teams?
I think the East teams have more team of destiny because it kind of feels like the West teams are kind of where they're supposed to be totally honest. Like I think this is the conference finals I picked before the year.
Wolves Thunder?
Oh no, I didn't pick the Thunder.
No,
because
you picked the Rockets.
No, I picked the Rockets to win the first round. I didn't pick the Rockets to go to the conference.
You picked them to beat Denver, right?
Yeah, I think I had Denver Wolves as the.
Yeah, I think that sounds.
Yeah,
that sounds
right. and I had the. Well, that was so close. I was so close to being vindicated. And
I had Dallas Thunder, and then Nico Harrison said, "Fuck you."
Jettisoned the team. Yeah. I don't know. Like I feel like I'm picking Wolves in 6 also, by the way.
Okay, so
sorry,
you're going.
Sorry to the Wolves. Sorry to Wolves fans for immediately canceling out Trill's reverse jinx with one of my own.
Wolves Pacers.
Congratulations to the Thunder.
We have the exact opposite. I have Thunder Knicks, so there we go.
Yeah. So we're picking opposite there, but yeah, I think Wolves next. I think the Thunder have like the least team of destiny.
Oh, I think that's you're projecting there, because I actually think that if winning those games that they came back and they won in 2 of those games in that series, that's team of destiny shit. You can't see it now because you're too in it. That's team of destiny shit. I think that the Knicks and the Pacers both have big team of destiny shit. The Julius Randle factor is
that's what I'm saying.
The redemption story there has potential for team of destiny shit, but the Wolves haven't felt like that all year to me. But sometimes it's just about getting the best path, and they've had the best path so far. So if they beat the Thunder, I mean, they owned me. Once again, I'm owned.
Why is the script flipping on the Thunder because they beat this Nuggets team? I don't know. Maybe I was just lower on the Nuggets.
I just think that we overreact to results of series all the time. We just did this with the Knicks. We were like, oh my God, they're dead. And then they beat the Celtics. Like, it just feels like you can't overreact series to series is my whole thing.
Yeah, I guess.
There's matchup stuff. There's random shit. And by the way, I don't know if you saw the stat thing that was going around. It is like unbelievable that the Nuggets were even in that series. Like,
yes,
statistically, they got destroyed before Game 7 was even played. So it was one of those things where it was like, this is about as close to a 7-game series blowout as you can get, but they still got to prove it. I mean, like, once again, like that was their best playoff series win they've had so far. They knocked off the team that, even though they had bad vibes, they still have Jokic. They still won the title 2 years ago. They still had some of that core left. This is another prove it, and they've struggled against the Wolves all year. So that I think that both teams have a legit chance in this series.
If they convincingly, I think this Wolves team is very legit. I think if they convincingly demolish this Wolves team,
I just feel like this Wolves team hasn't been tested at all.
Everyone's saying that. I get it. Like, I get that. Like,
I feel like that's just objectively true. The Lakers stink, and then Steph got hurt in the Warriors series.
But they also won those series in 5 games. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they were like playing with their food. It's like, why? It's a little flirting harassment to me that it's like, oh, the Wolves didn't play anyone, and it's like, but the Thunder had this great path against a team that fired their coach with a week left in the season, and the two teams that fired their coach.
Yeah, it's injury luck versus coaching luck kind of thing, but. Either way, they're both good teams. They both deserve to be in the conference.
Yeah, I think both these teams are good. I will probably pick whichever West team wins to win the title. I think that's probably, we're more like with respect to the Pacers, respect to the Knicks. I think that these teams are better and more, something. But I don't know. If the Thunder come out and they demolish the Wolves and it's like not even close, and who knows, like if Ant can't score in the series, it could get really ugly for the Wolves. We could see a lot of games where like the Wolves are doing like, 70 points or something.
Dead ball era's back. This could be the dead ball era series.
I don't know how either of these teams are going to score. Shea is going to get his 30.
It's going to be fun.
Peter, I already jinxed you guys. What are you talking about? I picked. Why is everyone acting like I picked the Thunder? I didn't. I picked Wolves in 6. Did you guys? Okay. Yeah, sorry.
All right, that's a good spot to end it. We got this series starting tonight. I won't be streaming for Game 1, but I'll be streaming tomorrow for Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and then I'll stream for Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals. So
I will.
Yeah, you're not going to be joining for any of that because you're too sad about the Celtics.
I am. I'll probably.
The games aren't that late. They start at 8.
I'll probably watch some Pacers. I'll probably watch some of the Pacers Knicks series. I just the voodoo on the every time I turn on the Thunder know when I'm watching. So own me. So congratulations to Jalen Williams on his 2 good games he's going to have this series that will vindicate the 5 stinkers he has. So
peace.